I do the full thing.
The kratom does
It
not
just
taste
happens.
good.
No, it
It
tastes like
Not taste good at all.
For sure.
All right, Mark, we are rolling.
We're going?
Yeah, we're rolling.
We're
Oh
in
my
it.
God.
Mm.
Did you try the drink yet?
Yeah, it's really good.
It's good, right?
Yeah,
Which flavor did she get?
I got a citrus salt.
There we go.
Salty. You said you haven't really messed with electrolytes before, huh?
No, honestly,
I think it's going to be a game changer for you.
it is a good one. Hydrocharge is pretty bomb, but this one's nice.
Yeah,
Not too
there you go.
salty. Doesn't have that weird electrolyte taste, you know?
Good. Glad you like
Very
it.
nice.
They make a bunch of different flavors. They make a chocolate one. I think Nsima's looking forward to putting his.
We don't have any more. We drank them all.
putting
Chocolate
his,
in the water,
Probably in
huh?
the break room.
well, we usually put the chocolate in our coffee.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you guys were putting it on your donuts the other day.
Oh, you saw
Hey,
that.
I did. I did.
Oh,
indeed.
now she's like, where the fuck the donuts?
Yeah, well, that's the only reason why I'm here, you know?
Yeah.
She's like, what happened? Yeah, that was a rare occasion. I just randomly thought it would be a good idea to bring in donuts.
Those
And
are
it
so
was,
good.
and
man.
it was a genius idea to put
They
the
were.
chocolate salt all over it.
Yeah.
They were good.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
What kind of donuts are you guys? What's your
It was like a
preference?
weird vegan something or other donut
so
from
it was
Temple Coffee.
Super healthy.
Oh yeah.
But I don't
Because
fuck
it's
with
vegan,
sprinkles.
right?
You don't like sprinkles?
Fuck, I don't fuck with sprinkles. They're too
Nah.
crunchy. They don't do anything
Really?
for donuts. Yeah.
Not even for the texture.
No.
Okay, sorry.
I like a
Wow,
little
didn't-
crunch.
Didn't mean to hit that button.
Yeah, no sprinkles.
No sprinkles in the ice cream either, huh?
Yeah, dude. So I haven't. I'm jealous of the coffee right there as always. So all I'm doing right now is LMNT for my morning pick me up. I haven't touched caffeine in the last 2 days, and my head's killing me right now.
Oh, I
You got-
bet.
You got coffee right here coming in.
I'm
Look at
good.
this.
Smell
I'm all
it.
good.
We
Yeah.
don't whine on this
Just put it
podcast.
right
Is this
there.
something that you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So
Cool.
I'm actually doing it for my wife, who's doing it for our son. So he was kind of getting bad sleep, and we're backtracking, like what's going on. It's like we're having a lot of caffeine, and it's something we were going to do in October anyway. So I'm just starting a little bit early,
I like
and
that.
it's terrible.
It's
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Not going too well.
No, but it would be cool not to rely on caffeine. That'll be sick.
Yeah, I have a friend that does that. Every so often she'll do like a month, I think it is, 4 to 6 weeks with no caffeine.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like she drinks pre-workout, cold brew, everything has caffeine in it. So she used to work with me every day, and
yeah.
the first week I'm like, please, like go load up on some caffeine because you're a grouchy bitch. You know? It happens. We all do that, and anytime I've tried to,
Uh-huh.
I get that headache.
It's so weird.
And yeah, it's pretty bizarre. I
So
should give that
Ruins
a go.
your life.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I get that, and then like I'll get fumbly, like I'll drop my pins and stuff, and then I can't like speak correctly. It's so
It's the
weird.
story of my life. I often can't speak correctly.
Yeah. Anywho, before I forget, so I'm sipping on LMNT. We highly recommend it. Really interested to see what Hanna says about it. If you guys want to get your hands on it, head over to drinklmnt.com/power project. You guys can load up on a value bundle, so you're going to get 4 boxes for the price of 3. No code needed. Just head over to that link. It's in the description as well as the podcast show notes. But if you're listening to it, just in case, again, it's drinklmnt.com/power project.
So what's been going on? You've been traveling around a lot, huh?
Yeah, you could say that.
Cruising
We,
around in a van and lifting weights out of a van.
That's true. It's I kind of wish it was a van, you know. If we were to rewind and do this all over again,
Oh,
it
it's a
would be.
truck.
It's a toy hauler. So we've got a 5th wheel. So it's 45 foot.
Oh
It's a
shit.
big vehicle. It's literally a home on wheels, which was, I pushed for it to keep it real. And now that it's done, I'm going to eat my own words because my husband sat right there, but kind of wish it was smaller. But because we were doing it for such an extended period of time, I'm like, man, we need space.
Yeah.
We've been together long enough to know that. So we got the bigger one. And now that it's here, it's not easy to get that thing around. So,
Yeah. So what do you do with that thing? Where do you park it? You got to park it at like Walmart and shit, right?
see, this is a great balance, right? We're very different. I want to be in the middle of nowhere in the fields where there's no internet or power. And Paolo is more of a Koa guy, you know? Koa, for those that don't know, is like the most, it's like an adult field trip that there's going to be people there that help you to do your laundry and games. And hey, do you know about our game night tonight?
Yeah,
You know, I want to see no humans. So we have a good balance of being in the wild and then being in like a campsite, you know?
That's kind of interesting though that you don't want humans around, because obviously we were working out with you. You're very outgoing, and the fact that like you're just like, I don't want anyone around me. It's interesting. Why?
Honestly, it's hard to believe, but I'm such an introvert. I love my own company. Love nature, and I've discovered over time that being in the woods is a place for me. And if I need to be on, I'm on. You know, if I love people too. I love being around people, but I do like being alone.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, super
No,
weird.
I dig that too.
I'm a big weirdo.
What do you think you like about it, or is this more of a recent discovery for you?
I turned 30 in January, and we opened the gym in 2015. The past 5 years of my life have been so full on, traveling from place to place to place, amazing, great things happening,
Just
always
move
being
your
around.
microphone this way a little bit, just
So
so
show.
you're talking into it a little bit more.
Thank you.
There we
I
go.
like that. But constantly chasing the wheel, you know, and just being out there, being on all the time. And then for my 30th birthday, I had this weird moment where I'm like, I don't remember the last time I was alone, and I love being alone. So I asked for a survival course. So this sounds bizarre, but Paolo bought me a Christmas present, which was to go and live in the woods for 3 days alone in Big Bear, California at like 20 degrees. And that was like okay, this is exactly why I love doing these things. And I think that's from childhood. Like I grew up a lot. My parents used to always take us to build forts in the woods and do weird things outside. And I didn't realize how much I missed it until I started doing it again.
Can you tell us a little bit
So,
more
yeah.
about that course, please? Like 3 days
Yeah.
at 20 degrees. Did you sleep in a tent? Or
I did.
what?
And I actually built a survival shelter out of wood and built an A-frame shelter from the trees and tried my hardest to sleep in that all night. Because that's what you learn when you go out there.
There's some husbands listening right now being like, I wish my wife would fucking want to go away for a couple days.
But now you got to understand that. Please. Now, honestly, it's so funny. Now we've been living in this can, like a tuna can together for the last year. I'm like, hey, you want to take a trip? You should go take a trip. Go take a trip. I'll take a trip. I'll see you in like 6 days. But no, the survival course, it's called California Survival School, I think is what it is. And they teach you all kinds of things. So the first thing you do is, if you were ever stuck in the wild, is you've got to build your shelter. So they teach you how to build like an A-frame shelter using nothing but a knife. It's bizarre. And you build
That's
it.
awesome.
It's so cool. You pack it with wood and dirt and mud to keep it insulated. And the idea is that you can sleep in there. So they're like, let us know if you need a tent. So I built my tent because I'm so type A. I'm like, if shit goes wrong, I refuse to sleep in the car, right? That's cheating. But I need to have a backup plan because it's fucking cold and there's bears out here. So I built my tent, built my A-frame shelter right next to it, and I lasted till probably like 3 or 4 hours, but it was low 20s, man. And I was like, I might get hypothermia. Check your ego and go into the tent. So I stayed in the tent.
Wow. Have you ever seen the show Alone?
Yeah.
You watched that before?
Absolutely. And that's where this whole thing came from.
That's pretty amazing. That's a pretty amazing show. I was watching one episode where this one woman, she built like just this amazing like hut, you know, and she was just chilling in there, and she like had a fire going, but I think she like, I don't know, she needed to do something, so she left for a minute, and it caught on fire, and
I
like
saw that.
she just didn't have any means to get the fire out. Like it was just this very small, like just some of the straw or something that she was using, or dry grass that she was using to build the thing, caught fire, and then the whole thing was just wrecked, and she had to like tap out. She had to just call it. She's like, I don't have a house anymore, and I don't have the energy, because like they're living out there and they're like hunting and stuff like that as they're out there. You ever get into any like hunting and stuff? You like the survival shit that much to get into that as well?
I would love to. I mean, we learned how to make some traps out there, and they taught us how to like plant stuff, but I never actually caught anything. I have my hunter is right here. So Paolo loves to scuba dive.
Nice.
So back home in Florida, he would often go out, get lobsters and lionfish, bring it home, and I'd be like the woman that prepared and filleted the fish, you know? YouTube can teach you a lot of shit. It's great.
On that show, there a lot of the women seem to catch like rabbits and squirrels and stuff like that, but they quickly learn that you can't live off of that.
No,
because they're too lean and they don't have enough meat on them. So there were a few guys that ended up, one guy actually, I think he killed like a moose or something.
but you know that he almost got checked out because he was too lean. Can you believe that?
Well, so he he chopped up the moose whatever way you do it or whatever, and he packed away like a bunch of fat, and then the fat got eaten by a wolverine.
Can you believe that?
And then this guy killed the wolverine too. But the wolverine kept coming back, and it ate more of his food. A different wolverine came back and ate some of his food, and he had to tap out as
That's
well.
bizarre.
So really interesting show to watch people surviving out. And you'd like to maybe do something like that?
I would love to. Like it's concerning. Have you ever heard of?
Did you ever try anything like that?
No.
I just wouldn't. I'm too much of a baby. I wouldn't make it.
No, I don't.
Not even one day.
I'd like to do some Cameron Haynes stuff, But outside of that, living in the woods, I don't know. I think that's too badass for me.
I think I could come back and do like a 5-star spa weekend, but I'd love to get down. But first of all, do you know how small wolverines are?
Yeah, I know they're not very big.
I
It's
thought that they were huge. I thought a wolverine would be like this thing. They're not. They're like
like a giant
this wide.
cat.
Okay,
or something.
yeah.
And they're about this tall. Nasty.
But it's ferocious, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
50. But they're not tiny either. I think they're like 50 pounds, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that guy looks mean.
Look at that.
Oh, fuck that.
That-
And
Look at
apparently they
those
fuck
teeth.
up animals that are a lot bigger than them.
Yeah.
Or I'm tripping, but I think
No, you're
that's
right.
the thing
No,
about them.
wow.
that.
What the
That's
hell?
pretty crazy. Man, we just spent
There's that Wolverine.
21 days in the national parks. We saw all kinds of wild animals, including grizzly bear.
Yeah, you were in Montana?
Montana and Wyoming. Yeah. Man, grizzly bears are no joke.
Oh my god.
That's
Well,
terrifying.
how'd you see these things? You went like hiking or something, or you went camping in the woods there too?
No camping, but we have long days. So we start in the morning at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and we'll go all day. So a lot of the times we're filming like 3 workouts back to back, which will be piggybacked on top of each other. So we're just exposed, and we're in bear country. So you take your bear spray, and if it's allowed, you take your gun, because it's no joke. And do you guys know what to do if you ever see a bear?
Run.
No, you don't run.
Pretend I'm
Make
dead.
yourself big or something?
It
Charge it.
depends. So there's
don't
grizzly bears and there's black bears, right?
Okay.
So grizzlies usually can differentiate them by the big hump on their back. But they say that if a grizzly bear attacks a human, they're not really trying to kill you. They're just trying to show dominance. So they say you should submit and like lay on the floor, put your hands behind hold onto your neck and just like kind of submit to them. But if you see a black bear and they attack you, which is uncommon, they're going to fuck you up. They're going to kill you. So you have to try and be as big as you can and try and scare them off. It's a thing.
That reminds me of The Revenant. You guys remember that?
I can't do those movies, man.
Oh, you didn't
I
see The
can't do 'em.
Revenant?
I can't do 'em.
Yeah, he got fucked up. That was a great scene. Well, it was horrible, but it was a good scene.
They like lived inside the bear, kind of, right? Like cut them open or something like that. I don't remember.
I think that was Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Close.
True.
Yeah.
Could be.
Bears are scary.
Did this idea of like cruising around in this whatever this thing is called, this giant fitness truck or whatever.
She's called Big Bertha.
Big Bertha.
She's got a name.
Cruising around with Big Bertha. Was some of this spawned from like the pandemic and some of the things that have happened? And I think you mentioned you had a gym, and then kind of what happened to the gym and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we opened up a gym in 2015, which was actually when I think I first met you. My career was kind of just beginning at that point. And I was in the final competition to be the face of Reebok 1. So when we opened the gym, it was more of a, this is what we're going to do with our life. And my imagination ran wild and thought, this is it. We're going to have a mom and pop's gym, and we're going to have our kids here. They're going to grow up, and that's what life's going to be. Then my career, I was 24, was just started to pick up and go in a totally different direction. So I loved having a gym, but it was a small boutique facility. The business model wasn't the greatest. Now that I look back on it, it was more of our passion project amongst all the businesses that we have. So it was always a struggle because my career took me away from the gym. So it always felt like a guilt there, and always felt like I wasn't giving my best to our community in Fort Lauderdale. So that was always a battle that we had. So as soon as the pandemic came, we had already been online for probably like a year and a half. Well, 2017 was when I launched my online business, but it just became a no-brainer, and it was more of ego. And we had some really tough conversations to make that decision because we did have such a strong community in Fort Lauderdale, and our team of coaches that it took us years to try and find the superstar team. We finally found them, and everything was going in the right direction, but it was not sustainable through the COVID. So we said, you know, I have no doubt that we could make it through, but it's going to be straight ego operating this decision, right? Like we have all these other businesses that are flourishing right now and have the opportunity to grow. So why would we suffer and allow those to kind of take a hit while we try and make the gym work? So we did it right away. Like May 31st was our last day. We made the call and then put everything online and then said, well, fuck. At first, we were naive and thought it was going to be a 6-month kind of deal. We're like, we'll take Pump Fit on the road and we're going to take this RV and we'll go to these different cities. And then we became extremely aware that that wasn't an option either. Like people are really doing this and staying home and no one's going to meet up in a field to work out with a stranger. So then we made moves and said, we really were excited about doing that. So why would we not? Like we've been living our lives for the businesses for the last 5 years and have been really, really selfless. Let's take a year to be selfish. We want to have a family, but we've been working so much that we've been, you know, growing and haven't been able to spend any of the money that we make, haven't been able to enjoy each other all the time that we think is valuable. So we made a really drastic decision, which is as extreme as we are, like, fuck it, let's get rid of the house. So we have no home right now, no home address, just our business address where the building is. And we moved everything into the RV and we've been trying to make it happen on the road, which has also been a big struggle, but through really cool, rewarding experience.
And how long have you guys been on the road? Because you mentioned Florida, and right now you're in California. So, like, yeah, how long you guys been on the road, and what exactly have you been doing?
Yeah, so we left at the very end of March of this year.
Okay.
And originally, I had put these pre-production plans together to pitch a job that we're doing with Nordic Track and iFit right now. So I was doing research in all these national parks. So I found the most dreamy locations and then put them into this app and was like, I want to go here, 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 here. Boom. Like now figure out the route that we're going to go on. So then it was like, okay, you're going to have 1 night here, 2 nights here, 1 night here. And it was just this constant moving battle, which if anyone has done camping or done anything like that, it's a bitch. You can't just show up somewhere and go on with your day. It's like a 3-hour ordeal to park, unload, get everything in, get everything out, untie stuff that can't be let loose while you're driving. So it became very obvious pretty quickly that this is not going to be fun if we do this because you're just nonstop all day, every day. So then we've been doing like the 2 weeks in this area and then take the van or the truck into these areas and go camp, go backcountry camping and like hike out 5-6 miles, pitch a tent, sleep there, come back and then go home, you know? So we did that for a while and now we're stuck in Montana. Like for some reason, we love that place. Met cool people there. It's a beautiful area. And we've been like using that as a home base and then flying, coming to Sacramento. We'll be going back there. We went to other places in California as well. And then we're going back there. But next stop will be Colorado.
Rob and Dana Lynn Bailey are out in that Montana area. And I had an opportunity to visit them a couple of years back when they were still in Pennsylvania. And I went to their home and they had like dogs and all kinds of animals. But I remember Dana Lynn was like, she's like, oh, I got to walk the dogs. She started walking the dogs. And then I think a goat was following her and then a deer. And I was like, what in the fuck is going on? And Rob Bailey's like, I don't ask questions, bro. I don't know what's going on either. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Have you seen some weird shit like that out there?
For sure. Actually, at their house, I think Dana has 7 or 8 goats. And the love that she has for those goats is nothing.
I'm not making things
No,
up.
that's the truth. That's the truth. They have what are the dogs called? They're big farm dogs. They're like so big and white and furry.
Yeah.
I forgot the breed. So they have 2 dogs that protect the property. And then they also have goats as well.
Like a Newfoundlander.
Something like that. I thought it was a golden retriever once, but it definitely isn't. It's like a Burmese, is that right? It is a Burmese something dog, but they are really good farm dogs. They let you know if there's bears around or something like that. But
how long have you been married for?
How long we've been married for? We got married twice. First wedding was in 2014.
Andrew got married a bunch of times too.
I got married twice in the past year.
Same woman, huh?
Yeah, because we got married when everything was locked down. Like that was our date, and we're just like, fuck it, we're gonna do it anyways. But the state didn't recognize it, so we got married again. I already forgot a couple weeks back.
Oh, cool!
Just
Congrats.
to make it official. Thank you.
I like that. Yeah, we did our first one when we didn't have any money. It was maybe 6 or 8 people in the top of a hotel. We kept it really small. And then we opened up, and like kind of a tomboy, you know? So when I was younger, I'm like, I never want a white dress. I don't want to walk down an aisle. And then I grew up a little bit and was like, I want a ring, I want a dress, and I want to do that shit. So when we got married the second time, we went all out and we had a huge rager for our wedding. It was a lot of fun.
Oh,
Lots of fun. Because Paolo's family's from Brazil. My family's from England. So our first wedding, our family couldn't afford to come. So then the second one, like, right, you got 2-3 years to save. So we had all of our family over here. So it was really cool to do that. It was a good time.
How did you guys get to this level of communication? Because it seems like you're communicating on a pretty damn good level to where, I mean, I'm sure there's like tension. I'm sure there's fights here and there, but it sounds like you guys are doing a pretty damn good job because all the different, I mean, you're making huge changes, you know, for one, I'm sure like shutting down the gym was probably really tough. And then, I don't know, just to have like to figure out your own life is fucking nearly impossible, you know, and then to figure out your own life with somebody else and to end up with like what I would call like a shared sense of purpose is a really, really tough thing. So how are you guys kind of been able to work towards some of this?
I appreciate that, first of all, because I think it's an ongoing journey, and to have someone else recognize that is pretty cool. But I've been with Paolo.
You do want to punch him, right?
Of course, all the time, right in the throat. You know, and I'm sure he wants to kick me right back.
Yeah.
But we've been together for a long time. I met Paolo when I was 19. And
wow.
Yeah, man, we've been together a long time. So before I had red hair, which I don't have anymore, before I had any muscles or even knew what the word fitness meant, and I was in a really tough place. You know, I was very damaged and lost, I think. So whenever we met, I was in like the lowest part of my life. But he saw
Not
something.
Boy, get the damaged one.
You know?
Good job. Air fist bump over here.
Boom, build those wings, you know? But he's always been this sense of, he always had this sense of balance. So I'm outrageous. I'm extremely fucking weird, I guess. I'm out there. I don't know. But same person has been here the whole time, but just trying to figure out the demons. And through a lot of therapy and personal development, I think is probably the only reason why we're able to be together and communicate. But naturally, I'm a very angry human being that's extremely hot-headed. And so I was like that for a very long time of our relationship, which is, can't believe the guy stuck around. Props to you, babe. But I think a lot of personal development. I do read a lot, and I understand that. I think that we all have issues. We have all got shit going on inside of our brains, inside of our bodies, but none is better or worse than each other. But through a lot of tools and tips and reading and therapy, the one biggest thing is communication, which I'm so good at communicating with strangers, but maybe not so good at communicating with the one person that I should be communicating with the most, you know? So through journaling, personal development, doing weird morning routines and doing a lot of weird shit to try and make me feel like I'm at balance has now allowed me to be able to share and talk about those things with Paolo. And so both of us now have like, we're not perfect at it by any means, but the best times in our relationships is when we can sit down, even in the most heated moment, and talk about what's going on right now. Not scream, not slam a door, not walk away. And I think for this trip has been probably one of the most challenging trips in our marriage, but one of the most valuable and growing experiences I think that we've ever had, because there's no running away. There's no like, I'm going to the gym or I'm going to go to the office. It's like, no. You're sleeping in a tin together. You got to figure it out before you go to bed. You got to talk about it. What did I say that pissed you off? What's your truth? You know, what's the conversation inside of your head right now for you to react like this to me, and vice versa. So through really, really, really uncomfortable conversations, I think is probably how we're able to have that sense of understanding.
That's a tough thing to say to somebody. Like, why are you pissed? You know, what are you mad about? And like, sometimes it makes them even madder. Like, how do you not know what I'm mad about? But how do you guys, and what does it look like? How do you end up in those conversations? Because even getting there, I think, is always the scariest part for a lot of people.
I think that my family are really good at not talking about things. My parents are amazing, but they're always amazing and they're always happy and they're always fine, you know, which is not the truth. That's just what we've always believed. I think that's a very stoic way of being, you know, and that's a very English thing. So I think that over time, and how does that kind of look like, is that we've been through the one most important thing that I think I'm missing here is that I love you and I know that you love me, and you know, we know that we love each other, and all the stuff that we fight about is fucking pathetic if you really think about it. But your feelings are valid. So we've been through the whole, I'm going to scream as loud as I can to tell you how I feel, vice versa, but nothing gets resolved. Like nothing is heard. And I always used to say this all the time. It's like, do you hear me? Like, I know you're hearing me, but like, do you hear what I'm trying to say? So I think through doing it wrong so many times, but still holding on to the fact that we know that we are going to be together and that this is going to work, but it's a matter of putting the effort in to try and make it work versus just rolling through and wearing away and eroding every time we have one of those heated discussions or heated arguments. And now I think it's just a matter of, we both understand that if you tell each other right now in this very heated moment how you feel, we're going to understand it. We're going to hear each other. We might not agree, but we're going to understand your point of view, because I think that's the worst thing in an argument, right? It's like half the time it's like, you make no sense. And in my brain, I make all the sense. Well, really, you both make sense in your own brain. So let me understand what your conversation is up there. And let me help you understand what the conversation is up here. And this is why I'm upset. He's really good at being able to press pause, and might not agree, but he's really good at making himself understand where I'm coming from. I'm not great at that because I can only see one way in that state. But I think from watching him being good at that, it's forced me to now look at myself and say, all right, if he's able to do that when I'm in this state, then I got to be able to come down onto that level too and have that kind of conversation.
I'm really curious because you did mention therapy, but outside of that, what are some other tools that like were really beneficial for you in terms of that transformation? Because currently, like, you seem you are very introspective. You know, you said you used to be very angry, etc. But like, I think a lot of people, maybe if they are there, they think that's the way they are. I've met a lot of people who are like, yeah, I'm just a person that screams, or like when I get angry, I will curse. I will be emotional. That's the way I am. And you did work to shift that. And a lot of people don't think they can do work to shift that. So I'm wondering, you mentioned self-development books and stuff. So I'm curious about some of the books, but what were some things that people can take away and apply and do right now to get them out of that place? Because I know some people who are just so static there.
I think fitness is the number one, right? Which is why it's become my career. And it's like, I call them demons. We've all got them, like, or a dark streak. And I can look at my whole life and zoom out and see that that trait has always been there since like when I was born, you know, that's operated in different ways. Like it began as, I've always been different. And this is something that I'm still trying to figure out the answer to, because my parents raised me in a beautiful household. My parents are still together. As far as I am aware, see, I told you I find it hard to speak sometimes. I had a great childhood, but yeah, I was an extremely rebellious kid. Right before we moved to the US, I was 16 and dating someone that was in jail for like attempted murder. Like I was a very fucked up kid that wanted to rebel, that wanted to be mean and angry. So this trait that I'm talking about that still exists now is who I am, right? But other people don't really they don't deserve to see that side of me, you know, because ultimately this is who I am. And if I don't like it, then I have to change that. So anytime that I would, even as a child, get into trouble, look in my parents' face, that was all because of something that I had done. And I didn't like that feeling. So that idea of like, okay, this is who I am, right? But if you don't like it, why are you going to continue to be that way? Then when I came to the US, it shifted from being this really rebellious kid to abusing all kinds of substances and going wild. And then I showed that kind of dark streak there. Then I found fitness. And at the beginning, it was all for the wrong reasons. Again, it was like angry motivation. And it was like this way of building this exterior strength to try and protect myself from the world. And it's like, that's where the shift came. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you running so fast? Why do you have to always level up and prove yourself? Why do you need to get stronger? Why do you need to move faster? Like, and then I just started to be like, you don't have to be this way. You know, there's ways to channel that energy. And I think that I personally feel like I've done so much bad in my past life that now like the rest of my life is my time to make up for that and to try and do right and treat people well and be kind, and no one deserves to see my bad day, you know? So that's where it shifted and was like, okay, well, that's a scary feeling and a scary thought, but it's on you, right? Like there's no one that's going to come up to me and tell me to get my shit together and stop talking to people like that. Or do you like the way that people think about you when they leave the room? I just had enough awareness to be like, okay, I don't like that. And I hate this part of myself and I can't control it. So then it was like, ultimately, to me, the biggest strength is being able to have control over your emotions. Being able to decide when you turn on that black streak and let the demons out. Like that's the ultimate strength to me, which is intangible. So then things started to shift. It's like, now I'm not going to go chase a barbell. I'm going to sit in therapy for an hour and like have the most uncomfortable conversation of my life, trying to figure out where these personal traits came from, trying to understand how to take control of them. Like, what do I do in the state when I honestly thought the only way for me to be is just angry? Like, no, it's not. Go sit outside in a mountain and look up and like figure out what the fuck your problem is. You know, don't try and chase it and go lift a barbell so heavy that you just release the anger. But why were you angry? So like trying to get to the root is probably something that's been a huge journey for me and still on right now.
Yeah, you never get to the root cause of the problem unless you are willing to be like introspective or reflect upon it. I think a lot of times you just, you sweep it under the rug with, going and punching a punching bag or going to lift weights, or we got these physical things that we can go and do, and they make you feel great, and it does kind of work. Do you think that in some ways that maybe CrossFit was really beneficial because the competition level in there is just so high that at some point, like, you can be as irrational as you'd like, and you could say, I want to lift these weights, I want to do these numbers, I want to do these times, I want to kick all these other girls' asses, but those other girls are really fucking good. And do you think that somehow maybe assisted you in a way to being like, well, I can be really good at this, but I can't really hang. There's some other girls that are just way above what I'm able to do. Was it anything like that?
Yeah, big time. And I think injury came to do with that too, where it was maybe I was pushed to make that decision more than I'd liked. But once I accepted that decision, it was like, all right, I think that we've all got so much capacity. And I used to put all of my energy into trying to be a CrossFit athlete, right? Which back then, and CrossFit then versus now is a totally different world. But I was good, but I wasn't great. I was a great team member, but I was not an individual athlete, you know? So I had a back injury that was lingering for a long, long time. And I would push through the pain. It was miserable. And then the week before we opened up the gym, December 2015, I was laying the floor in the gym and I pulled my back out. And I was like immobile. I'm talking like couldn't even get out of bed kind of deal. And I'm like, you know what? Why am I doing this to myself? I kept going to doctors, trying to have them tell me a quick fix that would get rid of this pain. And I had some really shitty news that was like, okay, no. Like, you have degenerative disc disease. And if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to have spinal disease of a 70-year-old woman before you're 30. If you want to have kids, your spine's probably not going to make that happen very easily. So when I was like, oh, all right, you got to stop being selfish now, like, right? Because I've got a husband that I need to think about. This isn't just my decision now. This could ultimately change our entire future. So whenever that happened, it was a big shift for me. So I was like, all right, stop putting all of that energy into being a teammate. Put all of that energy into building your own shit. So then I shifted it, was bitter, didn't touch a barbell for a year, and then put all of that energy and like capacity into running a business. And that's where I discovered a lot about myself that I had no idea. And yeah, I would say that it was very obvious from the beginning that I couldn't hang. You know, you're good, but you're not great. It's a big difference, right?
That was useful for me in professional wrestling, and even to some extent, even in powerlifting. You know, when I reached I was able to lift certain weights and do certain things, but I also knew like there's a lot of young people coming through, and it would be best for me to just step aside. You know, I could have hung on, I could have just kept trying to lift, but I also saw a lot of people hanging on well beyond their years, well beyond their time, and just for lack of a better term, kind of continuing to be like a meathead or continuing to be like a knucklehead and not really learning or being able to pivot. And if you look at, there's a lot of successful people that you can point to, but if you look at someone like The Rock, you know, The Rock was a WWE wrestler for a long time, and there's a lot of people who had great success in wrestling, but for some of them, they ended up leaving their profession or the sport kind of broken. And they really didn't, even though they may have ended up with some money, they may have ended up with a couple other things, they didn't really end up with being able to like live an amazing life. And if you look at what he's done, he did a pretty damn good pivot into, I mean, if you just look at what he did, or John Cena, they learned a completely different skill. You know, you don't just get to be a movie star. You have to like really work really hard at it. And there's so many other business things that he's gotten into that's really cool to see. But I know The Rock is a special human being, and I know John Cena and some of these people we put up on a pedestal. but anyone can do it. Anyone can pivot off of whatever it is that they're currently doing. I think it is a good idea to sometimes recognize, like, it's just, this is not right for me any longer, and I should move into doing something slightly different.
And I think there's also like those kind of people, right? I went to school for photography, and I was that decision to not pursue photography as a career was a game changer for me, because it was like, okay, I didn't waste the last 4 years of my life. I had experience learning things, right? But I always believe that this is going to sound very black and white, which I am, which I understand I need to be a little bit more gray, but there's certain people, right? Like, no matter what you apply yourself to, you're going to succeed in one aspect. And then there's another, which is like, oh, that's not me. I'm just not going to try. I'd like to believe that no matter what I put my hands on, my dad raised me to, if you're going to do a job, you do it right and you do it well and you apply yourself. So understanding that I won best portfolio in school, but I didn't pursue photography. I found CrossFit, became really good at it, became the best in the gym, but didn't pursue that. I landed my dream job after college, but hated it. So I pivoted there. So like making all these decisions just became very obvious to me that whatever I discover, I'm going to apply myself to and try and be the best at, right? So go do that in places that you enjoy, like where you're not feeling pain every day that you can't touch your fucking toes at 23. Or, trying to understand how to open a business seems so daunting, but there's enough information online to figure that out. We literally used LegalZoom for our first business, which is hilarious now, but at the time it was all I knew. We got a book on how to open up an LLC for dummies, like the craziest shit that now I look at it and think is funny, but it's like, that's all I had to do was just try and like really try, not half-ass it, like have an idea, have a vision, and then apply myself to it. And I mean, we haven't succeeded. I don't believe in that word, but by any means at this point in my life, but like we've done all right and we've had a good time doing it.
I'm kind of curious, your lifestyle before, you kind of alluded to like you were partying and you were doing some stuff there, but when fitness came into the game, you said you were doing it for the wrong reasons. How did that fit? Like, how did the importance of fitness kind of shift in terms of doing it for the wrong reasons and then committing to it? And then that becomes like all you do, because I think a lot of people, when it comes to working out, they find it hard to commit to it and build something out of it. Like, for example, we know a guy, Jeremy Avila. He was addicted to I don't know what he was addicted to before. Heroin. Yeah. And then he made a shift to fitness, and that personality of his made him an absolute beast as far as fitness is concerned. So I'm wondering, is there any of that there with you, as far as just like you like the way you go towards things? Is just that how you are? And that shift into fitness, was that gradual?
I would say, yeah. I think that at the beginning, the reason why I got so obsessed with fitness is because mentioning that rebellious stage in my life, if I ever got attention, it was usually a negative attention, and not because I was a good person or I was doing the right thing. But whenever I started to do well in CrossFit, it was like people were proud of me, and it was like I was doing well for the team. It was like a very different kind of attention that I think I'd ever received before. So I held on to that and was like, you know what? This is so funny. This is my Reebok One application video for my audition. It's hilarious. I haven't seen this for years, but I tried to win because I wanted to impress other people, and that was a big game changer for me. And then whenever I shifted into doing fitness for me, it was because, all right, now I'm understanding where this is taking me, which is it's giving me a space to release all of this negative energy. And I realized that it's making me feel better. So I think that important point there was like, I used to do fitness to impress other people, and I look strong and people like never questioned me, And I think that there was a big shift that's happened in the last maybe 4 years, which is since I put the barbell down, since I stopped doing CrossFit, which is I'm not now doing this because of what other people think of me. I'm doing this because it's keeping me mentally sane. And I wake up out of bed every day and I feel good about where I'm at, versus like, I need to go to the gym because people need me there, versus like, I don't care if I'm alone. I don't care if anyone's watching. Like, this is my version of therapy. Like, I need this for mental health. So I think that was a big shift for me, is understanding not doing it for others or for aesthetic reasons, but doing this just for mental health reasons, really.
Are you pretty grateful that you didn't get like stuck in some of that? Because That happens to a lot of people. Like, did you ever end up getting like? Do you think you got dependent or addicted to anything?
From the substance abuse?
Right.
I was definitely dependent. I wouldn't say that I was waking up. I think I mentioned this earlier and like blowing lines at 6 o'clock in the morning. But I mean, I used to burn the candle on both ends, right? Like this whole sense of overachieving. I used to work double shifts and work a morning shift, work a night shift, and then go to the gym the next day. So it's like you're working from 9 a.m. till 4, 5 a.m. in Florida. And then I'm going to sleep till 9, waking up and then trying to go be an athlete. So I'm so glad that I didn't. And I also am glad for my mindset, which is being able to stay in the bartending world and not drink or dabble in that was what I was doing at the very, very end, which is pretty impressive for me, which is crazy because I have friends now that are still doing what we did then, you know, and they're 40 plus years old. So, and the money, it's so much money in South Florida. Like I remember we ate shit for months and months and months and months and months before we could really see some financial stability doing things legitimately, you know? We would make like over $1,000 every night in cash. We worked in nightclubs in South Florida, so we were raking in the cash. Like, it was crazy. So there was a big weird patch after we let it go, but we found our feet again. But yeah, I'm so grateful that I didn't get stuck in that, and I'm so glad I got that out of my system because there is nothing else than I could think. You'd have to pay me $1 million to go stand in a nightclub right now till 4 or 5 in the morning.
Oh,
you know,
God.
it sounds like horrible.
Yeah, it'd be impossible. As you kind of were shifting from you know, shutting your gym down into doing some of the stuff that you're doing now, what other areas of the country do you want to end up visiting? You know, I mean, you're popping around to a bunch of different places. You said you're going to Colorado next.
Yeah,
I think you said
we're going to Colorado next. We had a really good time going through Southern California over to Arizona and into Utah. That was awesome. I think the one place that we haven't been to yet is San Diego, which is somewhere where we've wanted to go. But the rig is so big. The idea behind this trip was to go and try and find somewhere we wanted to live. But we've been in fields and mountains, and I don't think that we're going to be living there. So we'll have to do another trip after this that can really take us into the areas that we could possibly live in.
Is there like a hike or something that you got your eye on where you're like, I really need to go see that or do that?
Oh, man. I'm a sick fuck is the word I like to use. And 2018, I biked and ran the whole country of Iceland.
Oh, what?
Yeah, man. That was like the second thing I've ever done that's pretty epic. So ever since that's happened, I don't know if you heard me say earlier that we want to start a family, which is where I'm like really trying to hold myself back. But I want to do something crazy, man. Like I want to.
What are we thinking though? Like what is it?
Well, that was 828.6 miles. So that was a pretty long journey.
Damn.
But,
how many days, weeks? How long?
It was supposed to be 8 days, but it took us 9. That was a good time. That was a crazy experience.
You ever heard of people doing the Appalachian Trail? That's pretty popular.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So
people,
there's also
I think people take like maybe a month or 2 to do it usually.
There's a Great Western Divide as well, which goes through the entire world, and it's thousands of miles.
When was this done, by the way?
This was 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. This was actually one of the hardest times in my life. And then using pain to accomplish good things is a great skill set, I think, to have. Unfortunately, my best friend died due to cancer. So before she passed away, this whole trip was to give her something to hold on to. But she didn't end up making it, which was really sad. And it really exposed part of my life when everything was very public. So I just ran away to Iceland and took 9 days to pour the pain into the road. And it was wild. And Paolo and my best friend's husband at the time, her niece, and my assistant was all there. And they followed me in an RV, and I biked and I ran the whole thing. But it was a really, really troubling time. So my mindset now is like, if I was able to do that through pain, like I wonder if I could do that without that pain, you know? Like your body allows you to go to some fucking weird places when you're going through it. But I do wonder now. So that's where my curiosity is like, if I could do that, and that, you know, listening to about how you're walking every day and you're progressing. I wasn't running or cycling before this. I just trained for 10 to 12 months. I got a coach and started with like 20-minute workouts and ended with like 6-hour workouts. So I think seeing yourself progress and being able to have like this progressive overload is really, really real. And it was really cool to do it then. But I mean, now, I mean, my brain is in a different place. I'd like to cycle versus run because my body just got so fucked up from the running. That I would love to do something that seems impossible and do it for something
Oh,
great, you know?
so I'm kind of curious, real quick. As you mentioned, back then you were kind of working from a place of pain. Do you find that you still do that at all nowadays? Are you trying to lift with a more calm approach, a happier approach? What's that
Yeah.
look like?
And that's where it's bizarre for me because beginning of CrossFit and stuff, I was very angry. It was like there was like this demon that every time I went into workout mode, like you'll see videos, I look like a fucking cyborg, crazy person. And I don't really know what the thoughts are that are going through my mind. It's more like just energy being released. So whenever I did that, that was painful, right? And I wanted to feel the pain to be able to perform. We'd have people write their letters in about how cancer has affected theirs. That was my pre-workout, you know? And that's what I would read or do before the day started. But now I don't feel like I'm angry. I feel like I'm a lot calmer. I feel like I'm a lot happier and inside, and I feel a lot more fulfilled than I ever have. So I'm curious to see what I could do. So right now in my training, I don't think that I operate through pain, but I do know that if I don't work out, then I'm going to be more irritable. I'm going to have a shorter fuse, you know? So I know what it does for me in that way. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'd like to do something else just to see true performance, you know? What can you do without being motivated by anger or pain and just see what your body can do? Because the mind and the body through that experience, which I think we mentioned earlier, like I genuinely wanted to put my thought process into practice because I had spent maybe the previous 4 years before that being in a place where I was content with my body, content with where I was at in my fitness journey. And I was just telling people what to do. And I'm like, I feel like an imposter if I don't put this shit to practice. So I did every day. And I was like journaling and writing and recording the conversations I was having with myself and telling myself what I try and tell other people. And it works, you know, like your mind and your body are totally connected, but your mind is going to quit before your body does. And that was the goal of this mission. I was like, I want my body to break down before my mind does, to see where my mind can take me. So that's kind of what happened. That's for sure.
Some of what you're describing kind of reminds me of parenting in a way, like where there's really not like this, there's not this like, this burning like motivation, you know, to be supportive of your kids and to always be there for your kids and to, it's like the most selfless job, that like, it seems to me like whenever there's a great challenge, a lot of people can meet it because they can get excited by the challenge. So like when you have a newborn, like that's kind of a challenge. But you know, when the kid's 5, 6, 7, and so on, and they progress, it gets to be like more and more difficult. And it's not more difficult because the child gets to be more difficult or the situation gets to be any more difficult. It's just constant and consistent, and it's forever. Like you're that
Right.
parent to that kid forever. And so it's like a thankless job that you always have to put in like an effort. But what I've learned from that, and what I've learned from kind of observing other people like making these great transformations with their body or great transformations in fitness and stuff, is that when the challenge isn't there, that they still go in and put in the work, and they still do stuff like, I have a couple of friends that were, I used to work out with them super early in the morning, and they loved that. But as soon as we stopped doing that, they don't work out at all anymore. You know, they're not following a diet, nothing. But like when we were training that early, that challenge, you know, assisted them to rise to that challenge and then have a cascade of disciplines surrounding everything else that worked out really well for them. But I'd love to see more people, I guess, like just putting in almost like a smaller effort, but doing it every day, like, and just being like, you know what, I don't fucking care about being a 10. I don't even care about being a 9. I just want to put in like a 7, but I'm doing it every single day. I've been lifting for 31 years, you know? And so when you lift that long, it's like if you put in 6s or 7s, then you're going to end up pretty good. You know, you're going to end up maybe being able to turn it into a career, you know? And I think that there have been times in my life where I set these like larger challenges where they were really crazy or over the top, you know, squat 1,000 pounds and things like that. Those things did keep me motivated. Those things kept me competitive and they were fun. But I love it now more now that those things aren't around, because the challenge is, do you still fucking care?
Right.
Like, I don't have to care. I don't have to make another Instagram post. I don't have to make another YouTube post. I already made my money. I already did everything I wanted to do in fitness. I could just leave. I could just fucking disappear and be fat somewhere. But I'm choosing to still be a hardened motherfucker and still choosing to, like, you know, let's figure out, you know, what the next challenge can be, and let's figure out ways to still put in that 7 every single day.
I think that to add to that, I think it's one of those things, like, if I don't put in that 7, I feel like I'm getting dull. Like, it keeps me sharp, you know?
Yeah.
Like the workouts, I know that some days I'm not going to have the best day. Some days I don't really feel like it, but I show up anyway, right? It's like,
And that's why I say a 7. I know some people are like 1 out of 10, you know, but it's
you
just
can't always give a 10.
you also have other aspects of your life, though, that are really important to you. So if you're putting that 10 in every day into fitness, I think it can sometimes pull against other things.
Yeah, for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
I can definitely agree with that. But putting in the effort every day and then constantly adding like these sprinkles of challenges that happen throughout the year, they help me stay up, you know, because this trip has been challenging. This is the first time ever since I began working out that I've ever felt like I've lost my mojo, right? Which is like, it's not that I wouldn't work out, but the workouts were changing. They were like a 20-mile hike, which is crazy. I know that's still a lot for some people, but the intensity wasn't there. I wasn't sweating and dripping from head to toe. I hadn't lifted a crazy heavy weight that day. But it's understanding that that's okay. Like I think I said to you guys earlier, I know this sounds ugly to a lot of people, but I know my own body pretty well. But this is the worst shape that I've ever been in, but the most fulfilled I've ever felt, if that makes sense. So I think you've got to give and take, right? Every day that you do that. So the mental challenges for me are now almost replacing the physical challenges. Trying to keep your cool, communicate, journal every day, have a morning routine that doesn't have a freaking cell phone in. Like doing these things and now what I'm getting from what I used to get from going in and doing a 10 every day.
Why do you think you feel more fulfilled? What do you think that's from?
Being present, you know, and actually making sure I'm aware of what I'm doing rather than just going through the motions of doing things. I remember back in 2019, the month of September, I had 6 days home and they weren't together. It was like, you get home, leave that suitcase dirty and full, go pack another one, you got to go here, you got to go there, got to do, everything was just so quick that I couldn't tell you anything that happened that year. I don't remember because I was just in survival mode, going through the motions. Now it's like, I want to be present. I want to sleep in one day. I have a big problem with sleep. Like I love to sleep, but I cannot sleep in. Like I'm ready to go. I want to get up at 4. I feel like every time I'm sleeping past 5, I'm wasting my day away. Like it's ridiculous, but I need to slow down. And that was the purpose behind this trip, which is like, find a new gear because I don't have one. Quarantine exposed so much to me, which is you're being forced to slow down and you can't. Like there's no stress around, but you're creating it. Like this is now a problem, right? So let's go on a trip, find a slower gear, slow the fuck down and be present and do things that you actually enjoy, like planting seeds and watching something grow because you're home long enough to water your fucking plants. Like random things like this that I have missed over the last 5 years, or being present at friends' birthdays and not just assuming that my excuse of being busy is okay. So I think I'm doing things now that I should have done at the very beginning of my career that would have just instilled who I am as I grew. But I was just so obsessed with taking the next step to try and evolve is what I always used to say, that I was just chasing a goal without understanding where the fuck I was going.
It kind of makes me curious though, because you were killing it before and you were just moving. But that kind of seems like you kind of needed that and like you got really far doing that. So would you take any of that back? Would you change any of that necessarily?
No, I don't think so. I'm grateful for all the experiences, but I'm also really grateful that I'm aware enough to make a change because it's a very selfish place to be, you know? Like I said, I've been with this guy since I was 19. That month of September and that whole year, the guy barely saw me. It's like, is it? And that was always my thing, right? It's like I'm growing, we're going to improve so for our future. And if you don't check in with your partner, are you going to have a fucking future or are you going to be alone? So that was something that I had to really figure out. And so we slowed down.
Yeah.
And I don't regret any of it by any means, but I think it also exposed a lot about myself that maybe I wouldn't have discovered if COVID didn't happen.
And there seems to be like, there's a theme with you, there's a theme with Mark. Like when I look at a lot of people within fitness professionals, people stay doing the things that they're good at. People stay doing the things that they're known for. I mean, and it kind of drives some individuals into a hole. Like he's trying to get better at running and moving. I think you mentioned that you want to do like a fight camp type training thing, and doing things that you're not necessarily good at, even though you're a professional. I think that takes a lot of courage, because people are about to see you suck.
Yeah.
Right. And what makes you okay with that? Because a lot of people aren't okay with people seeing them in that vulnerable, sucky position. What makes you okay with that?
I think that throughout this whole experience that I'm talking about, I haven't really ever given a fuck with what other people think. Even when I don't like the things about myself that I'm trying to change, I've never really operated on what other people think of me. So I think that is one big piece of that equation. But again, it's a selfish thing. Like I want to see that I can apply myself into a modality that I fucking suck at, and through consistent hard work that I can actually become decent at, and I can hold my own. That's now an obsession, which is probably replaced the CrossFit obsession, you know? But like, man, I remember my first training day on a bike. I thought that the bike was broken. I thought that someone had left like a piece of plastic on the resistance reel, and it wasn't. It was just that hard.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, this is 10 minutes and my legs are burning out and I want to quit. I'm going to do this for 800 fucking miles. Like what? Then that became like, I have to be cool with doing this. Like, and I want to feel good. I don't want to feel like I'm in the pain cave. I want to enjoy, be able to look up, look at the mountains and like soak things in, because I'm not struggling to survive. So I think just overcoming and like becoming good at, or not good, like just holding my own at places is now a new obsession. I don't need to win. I don't need to be the fastest athlete. Don't need to be the strongest. But I want to make sure that I give it a go. So yeah, I want to put myself in uncomfortable positions.
That's good.
Being able to look up and kind of enjoy it just reminded me of the post that Brooke Wells made a couple days ago, where she was like, I think she said like 800-meter run, and she's like out in front of everybody, and she's got this big old smile on her. Did you see that post?
I didn't see it. I got to see it.
It was just like she's just crushing everybody. Like everyone's literally behind her. She's all jacked and she's just doing her thing. I was like,
She's selling like a cast right now. Like,
oh my damn.
She's insane.
Yeah, I think she did
Yeah.
something to her arm. Yeah, she like
Her
something.
her elbow,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like-
Ooh.
Look how far ahead she is of everybody. Because she's formerly a sprinter, so she's like, yeah, this is my shit.
Oh my God, such
gonna
a power
She's a
athlete.
sprinter.
She's gonna fuck everybody up on this.
Man, she is such a savage athlete, huh?
She's
She's
jacked,
way
yo.
in front of everybody.
And her mindset. I mean, I've never met her in person, right? But her mindset's pretty cool. Even watching her overcome this injury, always so positive.
Yeah.
And it's not like whether or not she's gonna come back. It's a comeback. You know, the decision's already made
Yeah.
in her mind. I dig that.
I'm curious, as far as like the industry is like fitness, it's like muscle, protein. How like you've obviously progressed through, you've done a lot of different things. Are there any specific type of like challenges that you've just like come into just by being a woman in some of these spaces?
Oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. In many aspects, I think, you know. But again, I don't really care, which has always been on my side. And I think that's my mom raising me that way. My mom's always been different. Mom had weird color hair. Mom had weird fashion, you know, that was different than everyone else. So I've been raised with that. But there's often even conversations when it comes to business
Yeah.
is where something really is interesting for me. Because I like to think that Paolo ran the whole gym at PumpFit, and that was his baby. But the online thing has been my baby since day one, and did it all alone. But if we ever go for dinner with other businessmen, they don't even look at me to have the conversation. It's the straight conversation with him. And that used to bother the shit out of me. And now I'm just like, cool, like, go for it. It is what it is. But people don't even assume that a woman, because I maybe a lot of women that have a personal brand, they're the personal brand part of it. And then there's someone else that's the brains. But that hasn't been the case for me. I've been a bit of both. So I hold pride in that. And now it like makes me laugh whenever the guys don't talk to me about it and they go straight to another male. It could be anyone. It could be a freaking driver. And that's the person they're going to talk to about business before they talk to me. So that's been something for sure. And then there's been a lot of opportunities too that may have gone somewhere else if I had taken them, but I just never have. And I think that's just from being secure in my own relationship and not ever doing anything that I don't need to do to hold my integrity to my soul, to level up or whatever else it may be in the industry. But yeah, I've always been very grounded and had that circle around.
Take a small kratom break, huh?
Oh, let's see what happens
the other
here.
half? I'll finish the other half.
Yeah, just take half.
Okay.
I don't know how you'll measure it out, but good luck.
Good luck. Cheers. Bottoms up.
Wash that down with a little water after.
Yep. Doesn't taste very good, like I
Oh,
said.
it really does taste like
Mm-hmm.
earth.
You get used to it.
Like
Oh,
Earth.
That's not good.
That's a good way to put it.
Tastes like earth.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Do you have any advice for like, because like, you know, you said that you started kind of what, 2013, 14?
2012 is when I signed a contract to become a member at a gym.
Okay, 2012, you signed a contract to become a member at a gym. In the early like 2000 whatever, social media started going whatever. But nowadays, is there any advice you have for like a woman that's trying to build a personal brand or build something within fitness? What would you tell them to be careful of? What would you tell them to try to do? Just what, from your experience, what would you advise?
So as far as sustaining what you do is the biggest piece, right? Consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that in fitness, there's a lot of times I've even been guilty of this, of like doing what I think we're supposed to be doing if you're pursuing fitness, and it's always backfired. So I think that if anyone's trying to pursue a career in fitness, doesn't mean that that's the only thing that you do, because you become inhuman if you do that. So staying true to yourself and utilizing fitness towards your own personal preferences or desires is great. Like the whole outdoor thing. I'm fit, so I'm able to do those things, right? But before, I would never let the Instagram world see that I'm in the woods doing weird shit, because that's not fitness related. But then I'm unhappy doing the other stuff because it's not feeling fulfilled. So doing things that you enjoy and really finding your own lane within fitness is really, really important, I think.
Did you find that when you started talking more about the outside things outside of just lifting, did people start to fall off?
No,
No?
they actually started to fall on, I think, because they realized, or the words would be like, thank you for letting us into your life to know that you are a human, right? And this isn't all you do. Because it becomes extremely boring if it's the only thing that I'm doing all day, every day, even from the content that we put out, right? It's like, which is why we're making changes now. But whenever you're working, I'm in this space because I love to move and I love to change people's lives, right? Which is from zoomed out perspective. But if I'm only doing those things and I'm serving so much to others and not myself, so like I'm filming workouts for people, now I hate the workouts. Now I hate the camera. You know, it's like anything that you do over and over and over again will become a job. I think, unless you try and find fulfillment in it. So I think that it's important to make sure that you're understanding what you're doing, you're enjoying what you're doing, and you genuinely feel like passionate about it, that you become obsessed with it because you just want to, not because it's what you think that you should do, you know?
How do you manage social media and not getting caught up in like over sexualizing anything? Because that seems to be from some females. I mean, I guess the guys do it too, but it's just a different public perception, right?
It's seen differently.
It's seen differently. It's interpreted way differently. So, you know, maybe in your case, maybe some of the people that you guys met with, maybe they see the post and they see you in a sports bra working out, and maybe this automatically assume like there's no reason to talk to her about business. She's the talent and she's, you know, attractive and sexy and all that. And so I'm just going to go talk to her husband and talk business. How do you personally toe that line? Or do you have any concern about it? Or do you just kind of just say, this is me and this is what I like to post, and you're not concerned about it? Or how do you handle it?
I don't think I don't think about it as much as I probably should. But it's not a thought process, but you'll like in a regular, I guess I'm going to eat my own words here. We went to a Global gym the other day and I was wearing a sports bra that was pretty low. And I hate that when people stare at me, right? It's which I also understand that if you look a certain way, people are going to look, but it takes away from the workout. So I don't like to work out to make people think that I look sexy. So what did I go do? I went to the front desk, bought a XXL t-shirt, put it over the top and because that was my workout. But then as soon as I was done with my workout, then I'm like, oh shit, I need videos for the gram. So what do? I take off the shirt, and it's very much like, this is a tool, this is a job, this is what I'm going to do, but this doesn't mean that this has to become who I am. Like you'll never see me that being that girl, you know, wearing short shorts and trying to take a booty pic like this. It's just not who I am. But I think I learned that at the very beginning. There's a photographer in Florida called Justin Price, and any big fitness girl or bikini competitor will do a photo shoot with them.
Yeah.
I did the bodies of work with the GFX, whatever it is, for bodybuilding many years ago. And I also did lingerie, like photo shoots where I'm looking back at it on the fucking floor. And it's like, if you know me, people would laugh at that because it's so not who Hanna is. But I did that at the beginning, and I thought that's what you needed to do to get a lot of likes. Like all my Reebok application stuff is me like doing some fucking weird shit. But it got me into the door. But then once I got in the door, I was like, this is not who I am. I don't feel comfortable with this. Like, this is not the message that I want to put out there. This is not what I want to influence people in any way. Like, I want to do things differently. And
Those are actually really cool.
Those are actually
they're
really
so
dope,
cool.
though.
They are really cool.
I would say they're more artistic than anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But I quickly, after the Justin Price photo shoot, was like, man, this is just not me. So I don't do that anymore. And now I'm the girl that has crotch sweat, doesn't give a shit about a camel toe, and like doesn't care, you know, because I'm here to work out, and my eyes are closed half the time. And people just try and kind of document what I'm doing now, but things are changing.
You know, real quick though, the thing you mentioned about the gym, right, where you had that the sports bra thing, you had to put on a shirt for the workout. It is weird because, you know, you mentioned like this in terms of the interpretation of like that, right? If I had my shirt off during a workout, like my whole torso is showing, right? But oh, he's jacked. He's just jacked. But you have a sports bra on. It's not like you have a sports bra on, right? And it's like, oh God, cover up. It's kind of problematic on the end of the individuals that are interpreting it.
Right.
It's like it's the totally wrong interpretation because my whole torso is exposed, but it's cool, right?
Right. That is so true. I don't think I read into it too much.
Yeah.
I'm cool with where I'm at. I'm cool with the relationship that I'm in. And maybe if I don't know what would happen. I always think about this. If I was single, I wonder if that would still apply. You know what I mean? If I'm needing attention or I'm not getting attention in certain areas that I feel like that's my worth now, like that's my way of putting myself out there. So I do wonder about that, but maybe I'd be a totally different mindset if I was not married.
What do you think of this TikTok world?
Oh man, we were just talking about this. I need to talk to you and pick your brain.
We got you.
Because I don't even have a TikTok account.
What?
Yeah. Well, I
That
think I
makes
might
me
have
angry.
one created, but I'm not obsessed with social media like I should be.
All right, first TikTok has to be you guys wearing each other's clothes. The traditional TikTok video.
Okay.
Yeah, we
That
gotta start
works.
out with that.
What do you want to wear, babe?
Actually, I have a video example.
He's like, I've been dying for this moment.
I have a video example to share with you guys. So
I would
it'll-
love
it'll
this.
do well.
Well, this will make you laugh because we were in, we're filming and I have a bunch of new samples come in for our 2022 collection, right, for our apparel. And I'm like, fuck, how am I going to showcase and ask people their opinion with this outfit? And it ended up being me and him like 8 o'clock at night with him trying to film. And I'm like, you know, doing the old jumping and I'm in another outfit. 3 outfits in, I'm like, fuck this. This is not who I am. You're never going to catch me doing one of those things or a freaking thing on the screen, you know? So I quit. And now I'm like, this is why I can't do TikTok because it's not meant, I just can't pretend to do things for the sake of having to do them.
It doesn't need to be that cringe though. Like
man.
I don't do that cringe shit.
Okay,
Like, you don't
give
need
me
to do
some
the cringe
advice.
shit. No, we got you. No, we got you.
All right,
You
all
don't
right.
have, you don't want it to be cringe though.
Yeah, you don't have to do the popular stuff. You can do like even just informative stuff, like
Yeah.
the stuff that you do on your Instagram.
Uh-huh.
Great. Some
That's
of the
what I
stuff
should do.
the stuff you showed us today was awesome.
That beast flow stuff would be sick. on
Yeah.
TikTok.
All right. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that
Okay.
shit would kill.
Yeah,
Mhm.
people are actually looking for information on there.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Oh, sweet. Then I'm gonna give it a go and do it differently. I didn't do Snapchat when Snapchat came out, and somewhere naively at the back of my mind, I'm like, TikTok's gonna be another Snapchat, but it ain't.
Mm-mm.
It's a real thing. The businesses that are behind it, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a long-term thing. So I definitely need to get on that train.
You might even be able to do some stuff with food, you know, with nutrition, and especially like the way that you guys are living right now. It's actually kind of interesting. You know, you don't have typical setup. I know you have a kitchen and a fridge and all that stuff, but it's just a little different. How are you eating on the road? What's it looking like?
The Blackstone Grill, not a sponsor at all,
those
but
are
that
fucking
is
awesome.
the game changer for
What are
us.
those?
It's like
like
a
a griddle?
flat top griddle, but we use that every day. We meal prep
It's the
Sundays
thing
and
I
Wednesdays.
have that I used in bodega, that kind of griddle that I cook on. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
It's awesome. So we'll just meal prep on that. But I was saying to you earlier, if there's grocery stores, it's great. The quality of produce is probably not where it would be if I was home, but we're grateful that we can just cook our meals rather than eat out, which is kind of our style anyway. But when you start to get really out there, you got to get creative because they've got like deli meat that's from Oscar Mayer and like canned tuna. And it's like, oh, we got to try and figure out how to do this and do it the best we can. So it's been a challenge, but I've tried to just not care as much about the nutrition as well since we've been on the road, and not allow the little things like that would usually stress me out, that seems so easy and available, to stress me out, because you can't control what you can't control.
How do you normally eat? Like, not maybe like what you eat, but how do you kind of prepare yourself in a way that allows, like, under normal circumstances, not what you're doing right now, but under normal circumstances, do you like meal prep? Do you always have something close by? Like, what's it look like for you guys?
So in the office, I'll typically make my meals every day, but I'll go get like a big plain, if it's a rush and not grilled already, but big plain naked rotisserie chicken, a box of salad with avocados and dried cranberries and nuts and sprouts and all that good stuff, and kind of just go low carb, high protein for lunch. And then in the breakfast, my go-to every day is going to be like an oatmeal with almond milk and protein. And then I'll snack in between, but not really much. And then in the evening, I'll go for a heavy meal. And I love to cook, so that's what I'll do every night that I go home, no matter what. Even if it's at 10 o'clock, we're cooking a full course meal. I'll have like a good carb in it, and a lot of protein, and a lot of vegetables. We love vegetables.
You mainly just are eating like a kind of a whole foods diet.
Yep.
Like you just like meat, vegetables, maybe a little bit of grains in there.
Yep, exactly. And then not depriving myself, because I've been in very different stages when it comes to my nutrition, of being like the person that's picking grains of rice off the plate, and like not going to any restaurant, not allowing anyone else to prepare my meal because you don't know the oils they're going to make with it. And yeah, my aesthetics have changed. And when I ate like that, I wasn't miserable. I looked damn good, but it's not sustainable if you're not in the comfort of your own home, you know? So that's not realistic in the life that we're living right now. So, I mean, we're just trying to be flexible, and I'm eating the worst that I've ever eaten, but I realize that it's really not the end of the world. And my body will probably bounce back as soon as I get home. And trying to implement those disciplines when you have no structure is an interesting battle.
Protein shakes, protein bars, you mess with anything like that?
Yep, protein shakes, probably do 1 to 2 a day. Protein bars, when we do the jobs like we are with Nordic Track, I mean, there's way too many bars going down, but it's better than nothing. So yeah, if we're on the go, then I'll do the bars. But I generally like to eat real whole foods.
I think you mentioned during our workout that you used to have kind of like an eating disorder. Like what was that, and what did that look like?
I just didn't eat. I remember my last year of college, I was burning the candle at both ends again, and just kind of was always wanted to achieve, so did whatever it took to achieve. And when it came to college and like performing for school, and I was so skinny, man. Like I just didn't eat. Like I wasn't.
I think you said you weighed like 100 pounds or something, right?
105 pounds.
At this height?
At this height.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'll have photos of you. I'll bring them up for you. I'll show you guys. But I was tiny, like so skinny. I bet if you search like Hanna Eden before CrossFit, it's crazy. I was just skin and bone. So yeah, I had a very unhealthy relationship. I thought that if you ate food, you got fat. And so I just didn't eat food, and I would just perform. And then when I found fitness, I would still wake up. I used to take noon class. I'd like finish bartending at 5 a.m, go to sleep till like maybe 10 or 11, wake up, get my acai refresher from Starbucks with an almond croissant. That would be my fuel for the whole day. And I'm training at a competitive level. Like that's ridiculous. So once I figured out that if you want to perform, you got to eat, I started to do more of that. Yeah, man.
Honestly, your transformation, I think it's like it's fucking amazing, because I know quite a few women who are like really light and really skinny, and they don't lift at all.
That's impressive.
And like, yeah, seeing the amount of muscle that you've been able to put on and how athletic you became, that's extremely motivating to see for a lot of people.
I think the weight difference between those is like 105 pounds on the left and maybe like 155 on the right.
Wow.
And right now I'm like 140.
140?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this makes me curious. You said that like since you've been on the road, I guess you haven't been able to weight train as much. That's why you've lost like a bit of lean body mass.
And we've been doing so much conditioning through the running and the hikes and the food too. We're not eating as much as we usually do. But yeah, when we like this trip, we just finished on, where are we? Yeah, Saturday. We're doing 10, 15 miles a day for 21 days. So like you're losing a lot of weight, you know? And I believe that you can do both, but we didn't have access to gyms. We didn't even have access to our truck during that time. So I had resistance bands, and that's it. So the shift in training takes a big toll, obviously, on the aesthetics too.
Did you ever have like a real focus on trying to gain muscle, or was it just a byproduct of maybe performance in the gym?
Yeah. So when I was into CrossFit, my strength was my engine. How you doing over there?
Second wave, guys.
No.
So I was really fit and my conditioning was great. So my engine was my strength and my weights were my weakness. So then it became like my coach always just had me try and gain muscle, gain strength. So that was I feel like the engine kind of is a natural talent that I have. Like my endurance is pretty great naturally.
So you had a good coach off the bat because he recognized like, hey, the best thing that you can do is probably just gain more muscle mass because you're skinny.
Yeah, I would say
it.
that comes into yes and no, because then it was like, doesn't matter what it fucking takes, lift heavy shit every fucking day. And I'm pretty sure that's why I have a back injury. But yeah, I think that was definitely something that helped me. And I ended up becoming just as strong as all the other girls, you know, and the muscle mass I'm grateful for because I feel like it's helped me maintain over the years as well.
What did CrossFit do for you? Like, I know for a lot of people, it was really empowering. I think a lot of people got into CrossFit, you know, not just females, but mainly females, just made so much progress on things like deadlifts. I think, you know, I recall being friends with some girls that would come in and they would start out 135, 185 deadlifting. Some girls who came in a little stronger, had an athletic background, maybe 200 pounds, but then they started deadlifting 315 routinely. And I've seen some girls even like, I guess like Brooke pulling like 400 pounds after a trail run. It's just like, it was just wild. Did CrossFit do some of that for you? Like where you started lifting some of these weights and you're like, this is fucking awesome. I can't believe this is me lifting these weights.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it showed potential for me, and it was the potential will arrive once the work goes in. So that whole analogy and discipline and finding strength and confidence, all of that was found in CrossFit that I've been able to take on and kind of apply to the other spaces. But yeah, I had this crazy strength of jerking. Like I can jerk so much. I could usually jerk a lot more than I could squat. My squat was my weakest movement and my deadlift was my weakest movement because my back hurt. So I'd have limits there. But my shoulder strength is pretty stupid. I'd be able to jerk. I don't know. I think my heaviest that I jerked was like 205.
Wow.
I couldn't do that now if you paid me. But
what's crazy too is to see some of the weights that some of the individuals, again, male and female, with like overhead squats or like walking overhead lunge. I'm like, the fuck exercise is that? Like I've been lifting for a long time. I'm like, never seen anybody even try to attempt, you know, some of the movements that are in CrossFit. But anybody who thinks they're really strong in like a squat, like go ahead and try an overhead walking lunge, and then just you know, for an ego killer, take the weights that some of the girls use and see if you can get up and down the turf back and forth with an overhead lunge. You'll be shocked and you'll just say, man, I actually really suck at lifting.
yeah, right. Yeah, I'm
demoralizing.
I'm glad that I stopped when I did, because I remember going to the games where Brooke was competing, and it's just on another level, man. But I'm glad that I stopped when I did, because I'm able to move now pain-free. And I think if I had stayed in that world for another year when it was transitioning and the weight started to just keep going up and up and up, that I probably would have done a lot of more irreversible damage, you know, that would have hurt this stage of my life. And that I heard you say earlier that you're just trying to move better. And that's the ultimate goal, right? It's like, I want to be doing this shit when I'm 70 and wrinkly. So I think about that. It's like, whatever style of training I'm doing right now, is this sustainable? You know, is this cool for now, or am I going to be able to do this in a few years? How was it?
It was awesome.
That's good. That's
It was
good.
great.
Wow, that came out
so much better.
So fast.
That must have came out pretty good.
It's because I've, you know, it's a smooth move. I don't
clean
get
break.
Yeah.
You tapered shit's going on over here.
Yeah.
Fucking up.
Just laying rope, you know?
I like that. I've never heard somebody say that before.
Oh, you weren't in the room. I was
It gives
saying
you like
that.
a picture of like a soft serve ice cream.
I like it. Laying rope. You were about to say what?
No, we said that earlier. I was like, have you guys ever heard of the term laying rope? It's like real casual. Like you just didn't be like, sorry, bud, I'm just going to go lay some rope real quick.
Oh my God. I'm about to use that everywhere. I
We
like
just
that.
had that one. It's all right.
Yeah.
You know?
It doesn't sound that like doesn't sound like that bad or
Yeah.
offensive.
No.
They
But
feel
it
like,
makes
I
them
gotta take a
think.
But if you think
Yeah,
about it,
yeah.
But then when your
Then it's
your
pretty gross.
brain goes there, it's like, ooh, I don't want to close my
yeah,
eyes
if you're
now.
like, man, I really got to go take a shit. It's like you're like, oh, dude,
Excuse me.
come on, that's disgusting.
Gotta go lay some rope, you know?
I gotta go lay
So
some
thank
rope, bro.
you. I always love it when you get new ways to talk about poop.
This is true. I'm all about poop. I have no problem talking about
Do you have
poop.
any poop stories on that
Yes!
long Icelandic trip? You must have pooped.
Oh
we go.
man, let
Oh.
me tell you, I was an idiot. And by the way, talk about nutrition. I try to like do it the right way. You know, it's like I was eating 45,000 calories a day.
Wait,
4,500
4,500.
100 to 5,000 calories a day. And at the beginning, I was like, I'm going to do this the healthy way. And at that point, I was like on my game with nutrition. I never cheated. You'd never see me eating cookies or any shit like that. And then I realized quickly that it wasn't possible because it would just be miserable to get the amount of food in.
Yeah.
So then I started to switch it up. And it was like, give me a jar of Nutella, put it on a spoon with peanut butter. Like, doesn't matter. Like, just give me anything. And to say the least, like shitting stories were disgusting, but I would crave a Coke or something that's sugary at the end of the day. And almost every day I was an idiot. I knew it was going to happen. I would chug it and immediately projectile vomit.
Oh,
Wait, what?
Because there's no way you like, oh man, so much energy put out throughout that day. I'm craving something sweet and it was instant every single time. So that was disgusting and foolish on my part. But I also got addicted to sugar after that trip and I still don't think I've ever been the same way since.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man.
But
just in a short period of time, huh?
I mean, it was what, 3 years ago. I'm not where I was then, but as soon as the trip was done, I'd wake up and the first thing I'm thinking of was like, I never used to eat toast with butter and peanut butter. And then it was like, for breakfast today, I want to have Nutella with butter and some bread. And then I'm going to toast it. And, you know, it was like that. It just kept happening. And it was really hard as well. So then that helped me understand other people, right? Putting myself back in touch with just cut sugar out. It's not easy to cut sugar out.
yeah.
It's really hard.
Well, also too, when you have a well put together body, you're thinking like, this ain't gonna really hurt anything if I just do this, and then the next day you're like, this won't really hurt anything if I do this, and it's kind of repetitive, right?
Oh yeah.
After a while, you're like, oh, okay, that does have an impact on me.
It adds up. Turns out.
I don't mean to push the issue, but do you have any?
Yeah,
If you
thanks.
don't, it's cool. But do you have any good poop stories? Like just something that just comes to mind.
Oh man, here's one for you. So whenever you go camping, right, there's this term which you pack it in, you pack it out, which means that you're not really supposed to shit in the woods because your excrement can secrete into the earth, which is not good, right? If we're going naturalist style, or like if it like
I thought it'd be good fertilizer.
Yeah,
right,
that's
I guess
what
it
thought
depends on
too.
what you eat, I guess.
Oh,
But
okay.
you're not really supposed to poop in the woods or like pee near water sources or any of that good stuff if you're trying to like follow the outdoor code. But I do remember this one time that I wasn't ready to pack it out or pack it in, you know? So Paolo and I, he probably has no idea this is going to be great. Remember that Cathedral Wash hike? We're like going through these narrows of like, oh, it's going to be this really short hike. Definitely not going to need a shit. So rule number one, you never go outside without shit tickets. Okay? Like toilet paper. Just in case you got to go, it's always there. Biodegradable if you want to be good. I didn't have anything with me. I needed to poop so bad, right? And usually we have this little shovel that you dig down so far, you prop yourself up, you give yourself a good view, and it's fucking epic. It's great. You're just shitting in the woods. Well, I didn't have any of that stuff with me. I had a hair tie that was made of velvet and a rock. So I had to shit
This is gonna be
so
good.
bad that I literally like just scooped some ground earth out of the way, laid rope, and then was like, oh my gosh, I have no toilet paper. And like, that's like a no-go. I'm not going to use a rock to wipe my asshole. It's not going to happen. So I'm like looking everywhere. I'm like, oh, shit, I can't take my socks off. I need these, otherwise I'm going to get blisters. Ooh, don't have anything else. I'm like, hair tie. This is great. So I used the velvet hair tie off my head, wiped my ass with it, put it in a Ziploc and walked my ass home.
What a lady.
You know, you got to do it. I put my
That's
shit
amazing.
stories out there. You got any?
Anything recent? Oh, well, I mean, this is a classic, but
The fact that you
sauna.
shit every podcast?
no,
Okay.
no.
You did shit yourself recently too, right? Oh,
Oh, I've got great stories.
I got
on
so
Paolo.
excited. I got so,
You know what?
I got so excited.
Let's tell that story.
Yeah.
The sauna one's better. I'll make this quick. There was a shit. It was 2019. I was in a sauna and I thought I had to fart. You know, saunas are really warm and
Yeah.
you know everything.
Oh, no.
So I farted, but it was actually a little bit of shit. And I was like, you know what though? I don't want to get up yet. I'm enjoying the sauna experience. No. So I sat with that, and I have deep cheeks. So it didn't excrete, right? But everyone, like, it started to smell because it's shit, right? And it's a sauna, it's condensed. 6 or 7 other people were in there.
God.
And I just saw people like looking around, and I just sat there like this, just not even, but no one could. I saw people start to walk out. People came in and people left immediately just because it smelled like shit in that sauna.
It was brewing. It was ripe.
Yeah, and it definitely rose to the top. So
You shotted.
I did.
Yeah, you can't trust a fart. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
And then Andrew, you pooped yourself recently too, right?
I'm trying to think. I'm not like embarrassed to not say it, but like no, I have not shit myself in a hot minute. Yeah, it's been a while. Like I said, I have a lot of experience holding it in. Like I have had the worst stomach coming into this podcast.
He's got great advice.
Yeah, so
Tell her your theory.
Well, yeah, depending on how bad you got to go. But if it's like an emergency, most people will be like, I got to sprint to the bathroom, and that's usually when shit will squirt out.
Yeah.
So
It'll happen.
you got to stay balanced.
You got to stay balanced.
You got to keep your knees bent.
Okay.
Because
shock
nice little posterior pelvic tilt
because
as you walk.
if you extend your hamstrings, it just like it pulls everything out, and then you're just it's over. Yeah. So you have you kind of catch yourself, so like you keep yourself like if you're holding a cup of water, you're balanced all the way through. Right. But it actually does help with holding stuff in.
That's the thing. Well, I got a story for Paolo, because he recently shit himself. So I'll tell, since he doesn't have a microphone, I'll go ahead and let you know about this one. So we're on the phone, actually. It's great.
This happens way more than people give it credit for.
Oh, yeah.
Adults are shitting themselves left and right.
It's good for us to be vulnerable. You know what I mean?
Let's share, right?
Yeah.
We're all human. So Paolo, we had become obsessed with cold brew coffee. And you guys know the brand Chameleon?
Yeah.
So you know how they have concentrate?
Yeah, very concentrated. Yeah, very strong.
This guy didn't read the instructions.
Supposed to mix it with water.
Yeah, doesn't mix it with water. He's on the phone with me, and we're talking or whatever. He's like, "Oh fuck, I gotta go." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, I'll tell you later." Hangs up. Turns out he thought he was gonna fart. Doesn't. Driving to the gym to coach a class that is our own gym, so it's not even like you can get your workout and leave. Like you own this gym, bro. Shits his pants, then takes the car to the car wash with shit on the. What's happened here. He's like, "Hey, bro, can you wash my seats?" Oh. Yeah, and he totally shit himself. And then I think what did he do? Coach the class?
It was a silent killer. Yeah, I had to clean myself.
Got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. Like you asked this guy. We have this joke about it. If you were to be deserted on an island and you knew you were going to be there, what would be the one thing that you bring? Mine was like a kettlebell. He's like, booty wipes. Just not even a thought. Like, I'm gonna bring booty wipes.
That's hella smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
gotta have it.
I haven't shit myself though. In my adult years, I pee my pants all the time, but I haven't shit myself.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah. Like, I can't wait. And when it does, I'm gonna give you a call.
Send us a text. Give us a call.
I'll give you an update.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. I did a 5-day fast not too long ago, and I was just like brushing my teeth before I was like getting in the shower, and I thought I was gonna just like fart, and I just it was like a volcano.
Oh wow!
It like bubbled out of there, and like normally if you like shart yourself, it's a shart, but this was like full on like
power,
full shit, like a baby diaper. There was so much. I was like, oh my god! I had to throw out my underwear.
Was that the one you sent the picture for? No, you
I
said
I had to throw. I had to throw out my shorts. I mean, it was a nightmare. I went right into the shower. I'm trying to like wash everything off, and it was just like I just threw everything in a trash bag, and then threw it out. Like, you got to take that shit out to like the road. You know what I mean?
I don't know why.
It seems to be as far away from my home as possible.
I'm not sure why, but I thoroughly enjoy poop conversations. So these things come up a lot, and the crew that we're always doing these crazy jobs with, a lot of them are ultra runners or whatever, and a lot of them are in production as well. So I got to let you know there's one story that I thought was great, and I won't say any names because it's not me, but there's one dude, we're going to call him T-Snake, right? So T-Snake is an audio guy. He does a lot of audio for a lot of like commercials or whatever. So the Shark vacuum. they were doing testimonials where they have to go into real people's homes that actually have a shark product and ask them like what they think of the product. So he said that, and these trips that we'd go on, like we're often in like third world countries, or can often get like weird stomach shit that happens. You go home, you're shitting your pants for days. It was one of those situations, and his belly wasn't great. And so he shows up to this job to film this mother with her children that were at the house. And they had a nice little setup. So the bathroom downstairs, unfortunately, had like all the gear, like the lights and all that good shit. So they couldn't shut the door. And then there was one bathroom upstairs. And he said that before the job happened, he had been under the weather and had severe diarrhea. But right before the job started, he took some Imodium. Like, all right, I'm good to go. Gets there, does the shoot, feels his belly going fucking weird again. He's like, oh my God, I can't shit in this client's house because like this isn't a normal poop. This is going to be bad. So he ends up asking the mother, hey, do you have a bathroom that I can use? Because he's like posterior tilt here. Like it's bad. We're balancing the cup of water real bad. She's like, oh yeah, we have one downstairs. And he's like, oh fuck, it's fucking blocked. Like I can't do that. And he goes, do you have anything else? And he's apparently at this time like green, sweating. And she's like, yeah, there's actually a bedroom right up the stairs. And they're stood at the bottom. And she's like, oh, I love your shirt. And he's like, oh, thanks so much, you know? Then he starts to make his way upstairs, and guess what? It's too late. He's like,
Oh no.
fucking shitting. It's going down his pants. Yeah. And then he's like,
With every step.
and he's like, but what do I do now? Because I have to go back downstairs. I don't have a backpack with any clothes on. We're all like, did you go to the son's room and steal some clothes from the kid that lived in the house? And he's like, no, I didn't. I had to figure it out. He's like, I went in upstairs. I spent 30 minutes in the bathroom. I'm showering this stranger's home. And she's probably like, what is he doing in my bathroom? And they were filming downstairs. Apparently he just like took his underwear off, but she says, I had no idea why, because he left it in her trash can. Like cleaned himself up as much as he could, ran outside the front door and just left. Didn't tell anyone. He was like the leader of this whole shoot. Didn't tell anyone where he was going. Like the worst shit story ever. I'm like, that takes the cake right there. That's a bad one.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh man,
I love
terrible.
that he how to take a shower.
But it's like stress reactions, right? You're not thinking it through. Like, why would you do that? Why would you take it off? If you're gonna leave, just jump out the window and fucking run.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh God.
It is eerie though when it happens because you're like, I don't even know how to move from this position to get to where I have to go. It's just no good.
We also refer to it as getting struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Because you are like,
It just hits you.
you're like, whoa, just like it just happened to you.
Yeah.
I saw this. I was like, oh, what's happening? I see the eyes go from side to side. You're like, I gotta be right back.
It's weird too, because it's almost like you got shot into the future. Because you're like, I think I got like 10 minutes. You're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Then you're like, I got like 3 seconds if I'm lucky.
I was really certain I'd make it to the end of the podcast. I was like, I got this. And then it just was like, boom. I was like, no, can't do it.
That'll happen. This is why that morning routine is key, you know?
Quick, actually, did you talk about the morning routine?
About my morning routine? No.
Okay, there's 2 questions I have for you then. Your degenerative disc disease, is that something that's permanent and something that you have to, your workouts are changed for life because of that, or? So
I thought it would be because it was bone on bone, and every day I couldn't touch my freaking toes. Like I was putting my pants on, laying on the bed, like couldn't do anything. Doing any lateral movement was like excruciating pain. Then I stopped and read a book called Foundation by Eric Goodman that just explained to me to help my mind understand what was going on with my body. And I changed everything. I stopped squatting so low. I actually really try to find true core strength rather than just doing abs, you know, where you're not engaging at all. So I changed a lot of things like that and retrained my body so I wouldn't just like pick something up. It would engage and I would hinge rather than round my back out. So, I mean, I haven't had any treatment. The doctors were telling me surgery or like doing cortisone shots to alleviate the pain. I haven't done any of that. I stopped lifting really, really, really heavy weights. And I just started on like focusing on form, strengthening up my posterior chain for real, doing accessory work, doing the boring shit that I wasn't doing before. And no, I'm not restricted anymore at all. If I'm an idiot and I have my ego screams and I want to go squat clean 190 pounds, and I'm going to be hurting the next day. Yeah. But no, I don't have to change anything at the moment, which is pretty cool.
What you said about squatting so low is really interesting. We just had Joel Seedman on, and he talks a lot about this kind of higher squat angle, and people are furious with him. They're like, that's a quarter squat, and they get all mad. But I do agree with a lot of the stuff that he said. A lot of times when we are squatting, to a position that you might receive like a snatch in or something like that. Those are really, really low positions. And when it comes to an exercise like the snatch, the design of it doesn't allow you to lift enough weight for it to be all that damaging to get into that position. However, you could be squatting certain weights and you could be giving up positions, you know, with 225 or 315 with weights that are just kind of heavy for you. And you could be kind of forcing yourself into some of these positions that your body's just not, it's not like super, like not necessarily super dangerous for everybody all the time, but it can be very dangerous. And so I just think it's something to consider. Like with your squat, do you still train the squat? Do you still train the deadlift? Do you still do some of these movements? And if so, like what variations have you had to start to do?
So when I was CrossFitting, I would bounce out the hole. I would go, because my mobility is ridiculous, and I can get my ass down low. And I would always, even if I didn't make it on the first one, I'd give myself a bounce and try and rebound it up. That's what I did for the longest time. And that's what hurt. So whenever I started training again and trying to get pain free, I don't squat as low as I could.
Think about people at home, just maybe not understanding, but just for people listening to this, think about like a leg press, I think is a good visual. You know, sometimes when someone goes to do a leg press, if they come down and they try to use as much range of motion as possible, sometimes that lower back will start to round, or you just get some other thing that's like just off a little bit. And I think an exercise like that is a really easy way to get a good visual. But a lot of times when people are squatting, I don't think they're accounting for, it's like, look, man, you're kind of jamming yourself into these positions that for you, maybe at this moment, you're not able to really express these positions. So therefore maybe squat a little higher, go a little lighter, whatever you got to do.
And I will say that ever since I stopped squatting so low is when I still don't have much of a butt, but my glutes started to develop. I only squat to parallel now, try and get my hip crease around my knee level. As long as my spine is straight, and I could go lower without having that butt wink happen.
So I was about to ask you that.
I definitely could. And if I'm moving slow or if it's not in a conditioning workout, I'll go low, as long as my spine stays straight and doesn't start to round under. But when I'm moving heavy and moving fast, I don't go that low.
Yeah.
And a lot of my reps probably could be questionable, but I'm not trying to win. I don't care now, you know, as long as I feel good. And for display only, I'm not trying to get the lowest squat to get a rep. It's not a bad rep if I'm not competing. So I'm just trying to stay pain free and be able to squat every day. But I squat a lot. I haven't changed that at all. I just don't go as low.
Have you ever done sissy squats?
Yes.
I love
Yes.
them.
Love some sissies.
Yeah.
We just did those with DLB. She kicked our ass, right?
Yeah.
But they were a good time.
Yeah.
What's it like training with Dana Linn?
It's awesome because she's a sick fuck and so am I, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's cool because it's a totally different world to me. I've never been in the bodybuilding world, never focus on that solely as anything. So it's cool. I think she's chasing a feeling, right? The same way that I'm chasing a feeling. So to be able to receive the feeling in different ways is pretty cool. But she's savage.
It's interesting you have so much muscle mass on you. I know you say you normally have more on you, but it's interesting that you have a lot of muscle mass on you and you really haven't pursued. It sounds like a lot of your training, you weren't necessarily intentionally trying to like build a lot of muscle.
No, it just happened. I think the volume of training is pretty high and repetitive movement. So without intending to do like a bodybuilding split, I'm sure that I could have a lot more proportion and symmetry if I focused on that. But even just for the few weeks that we were training with Dana, like my body responds pretty quickly to that style of training. So maybe when we get home, we'll try something new.
Yeah.
So you did some stuff with Reebok. You've done some stuff with bodybuilding.com. I'm sure you've done a lot of things with a lot of other companies as well over the years. What's it like now transitioning into doing more of your own stuff?
It's cool. At the beginning, I was always wondering why I was trying to build my own island. And now that it's been so many years, it's a really cool thing to see. And I'm so glad that I believed in myself because we had a lot of opportunities that came up to work for other companies. And we turned them down because I don't know why. I don't know where it came from, but I felt like it was just the wrong thing to do because my biggest fear is like longevity. We all work so hard. And I talked to a lot of peers in the industry that I've known for years and they applied themselves so hard to other people's companies. And if that didn't work out, they're now, almost 40 and have nowhere to stand on. So I watched that happen a lot. So I believed in what we had. We had a gym. I believed in this weird online virtual thing that I was doing. And I'm so glad I did because it's all paying off.
And now you have an app, right?
Yep. We've got an app. We've got our own app. We've got our own apparel company as well. And we do a lot of different events and retreats and stuff, which is a really good time.
Tell me more about that. What's your apparel company, and what are these retreats about?
Yeah, so the whole thing for us is fitness, right? And how it's changed our mental mindset. So the apparel company is called FYR Apparel, which stands for Find Your Reason. So in the gym in Fort Lauderdale, we had this big sign that said Find Your Reason. And before we opened the gym, I asked everyone to anonymously write down 3 things that they wanted through fitness. And that changed the game for me. And it made it so heavy and emotional, because it was like, all right, I'm going to paint this wall myself too, which was cool because we actually put our hands into it. And we're going to write everyone's wants and goals up on the wall. And we don't know who's or what. I was thinking to see, like, I want a 6-pack. I want this. And we got all of that. But then we got really heavy shit from some people, like, I want my partner to see me. I want to be proud of myself. I want to feel strong. I want to be happy. And like, it got onto an emotional level. So then the apparel company is now kind of been stemmed from that. So that's FYR Apparel. And yeah, that's really fun too, because I like fashion. It's a good time to put them all together. But yeah, that's the wall right there.
Oh, that's awesome.
I want to turn heads. I want to be the best version of myself. And it combined like aesthetics with deep, deep, deep feelings that I think everyone can relate to. So that's kind of the whole idea behind Find Your Reason Apparel.
And what does your app do?
So we have an app that we release full follow-along workouts. So I'll never forget the first time we did that was with bodybuilding.com, and Jazz, I think is the CEO at that time, was like, what do you mean you want to do a full follow-along? That's 20-something workouts this week, and they're like an hour long. I'm like, just trust me. This is going to be the thing that's going to change the future, right? Like, let's give it a go. He trusted us enough to do that, and it was one of their most successful programs because we're going through it with the people. So I did previous programs with them as well, where you're on the camera saying, today's Monday, and we're going to hit 4 sets of 5, and then you show them what it is, and they go do their thing. But the full follow-along is like from the very beginning, from warming up to doing every single rep, every single rest period together. I think it changes a lot. So that's what we offer on our app right now. We offer all different types of modalities. Like, we never try and specialize in anything. So we have animal flow to bodybuilding to conditioning to running to all kinds of decompression work and mobility work. So the app itself tries to give you a good mix of fitness and motivation as well, and
There's probably other
nutrition too.
Other trainers on there other than yourself, probably.
It's just myself and Paolo at the moment, but we actually just pulled the trigger yesterday or last week to bring other people on, because it's a lot to do ourselves. So we've got hundreds of workouts on there. We built that library over quarantine, and now we're traveling and doing some workouts on the road as well.
Yeah, it's going to be really, I'm excited for people to see the little animal flow stuff that you took us through, because like you were mentioning real core strength, that was fun, but it also was very demanding on the body, you know, and I think all of us here have like a goal of just moving better, right? And that is, I didn't think it would be as challenging as it was, but it was challenging.
Yeah, I think that animal flow is probably one of the most overlooked things, because people look at it and it's like a joke to the real meatheads, you know? It's like, this isn't fitness. What the fuck is this? And I honestly felt like that a little bit too at the beginning, but I think it's the most challenging for body weight flow is the most challenging form of exercise for me. Because if you don't engage, you're going to fall over.
Have you found some people that maybe like that when you expose them to that, as opposed to maybe they don't like to lift weights as much?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially people that don't have the confidence to do the heavyweight stuff, which is funny because I think that the other stuff is harder. But there's ways to regress. There's like really great ways to regress. So simple that anyone could do it. And then you can start to kind of stack on top of that.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, just to interrupt for a second, I think a lot of times part of the reason why some people like certain things is because they're kind of good at it. You know, like when I first started lifting, I ended up being pretty good at it fairly quickly, and that feels great. Like I'm good at this, so I can do well. I think one of the reasons why a lot of women, you see mainly women, gravitate towards yoga is they're naturally a little bit more flexible, a little bit more mobile, so it's something they can adopt. But when it comes to lifting weights, there's a lot of people that they just don't enjoy it. It never really hits them the right way. And I think something like this could be great, because I was feeling it everywhere. You know, you're trying to hold yourself up in position, and you're trying to go through these other positions. So it felt like it was full body workout, and we only did a few minutes of it.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine, doing 45 minutes of it or something like that.
Yeah, I think it connects your mind to your body, and you have to have total awareness of what's going on, right? Because and it's like, even from the cues that we were saying, like, even though both hands are on the floor, shift all of your weight over to the right side. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to pick up your left leg. It's like, it's a very different way of doing things, but it's cool, man. And to combine that kind of style of training with weights is my absolute favorite, because you get a bit of both.
But the cool thing though is it's deceiving when you watch it, because when you watch like you do it and you flow really well, right? Looks like it's easy, but your whole body is having to work to stay stable. And then when you have to move everything onto one hand and have like movement that flows, after you do one of those, like your body's pretty fucking tired.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're pretty fucking sweaty. You can burn a lot of calories doing stuff like that. So I want to implement more of that, because it's a great way to do movement without, I guess, beating yourself up too much. I can imagine if you do a 30-minute animal flow with some kettlebell work, you'll have a good workout, but the next day you can do something again.
Yeah.
Rather than a super intense volume heavy lifting routine, and the next day you feel like trash.
Exactly. Great way to decompress, open up. It's awesome. I love that stuff.
When you go on some of these hikes, are you stopping to like look at stuff, or are you just kind of cruising right through them?
Nowadays, I'm always stopping to look up. I never used to. And there's so many beautiful things. Like, we actually talked about this, talking about awareness, right? We had a series of podcasts that came out. But if you don't look up, you don't see what's there. Like, we went on a hike. I think it was going out.
Good for your eyes and stuff like that too, to look at the horizon. It's
Yeah.
healthy for you.
But we probably walked through one of the most beautiful locations, but we were having a heated conversation with the head down. And then we figured out our conversation, came back the same route. We're like, holy shit, this place is amazing. And it's like that whole idea is like, just stop and look up, because I can guarantee you that there's so much around you that'll make you feel joy, but we're also head down, eyes forward, that we can't see it,
I will stop and I'll just like stare at trees for a while. I think that people probably think it's kind of weird, but I'm in amazement of them. Like the way that their roots go, and the way that the branches go, and like how they'll figure out a way to survive kind of anything.
Yeah.
And the roots will even grow right through the blacktop and all kinds of
I
crazy
believe
stuff.
it. I'm now doing the pee-pee dance. So can I go pee?
Yeah.
All right, give me 1 second. Watch this.
I had a couple incredible poop stories there.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever had like a poop story marathon like that before. Usually like they just say their poop story, it's on to the next thing. But she was like, tell me about your poop stories. I was like, wow, thank you for asking.
Really? You're asking?
Yeah. So
you're asking little old me about my
I
poop
guess
stories?
it was funny. It looked like we had like a new person on the live stream, and they're like, "Really, Nsima, you're that immature?" It's like, "Oh,
yes. Are you not aware?
This is that room. We are that immature." Yeah.
I am a child, if you don't know.
Everyone was really upset that you pooped in the sauna.
Yeah, that was very disrespectful. Like, that was extremely disrespectful.
People walk in there now, they're still like, there's still something in there, Hard to clean that out.
Yeah, man. How did you feel doing those animal flows today? Have you ever done anything like that? People will see the video at some point, but have you?
No, I've never done anything like that. And
that was quick.
Hey, listen, when I gotta go, I gotta go. Sorry about that, guys.
Very fast.
That was like 40 seconds. Shit.
Yeah, the animal flow stuff felt good. I liked it a lot, and it feels like something I can incorporate.
Oh, that's awesome. I think it'd be really cool. And if you guys want any extra tips, I'm down to share it all.
Hell yeah.
I think you guys need to collaborate with Knees Over Toes. I think you guys would, our buddy Ben Patrick, I think that you guys would have a lot to share. I don't know, like, I'm not really aware of how much of this stuff he knows, but he might know a lot of this stuff. I don't know.
Well, I mean, a lot of his things have to do with mobility through long ranges. So he doesn't do like any of the flow stuff, but there's a lot of movement-based things that I think he would easily take to.
Yeah, I think he would like it.
Awesome, man. We'll have to make that happen for sure. It's been a game changer, I think, that was something that the whole gym did as well. But it's so hard. It is so hard. And there's only maybe like 4 or 5 base positions to be in. And then it's like transitioning from one to the other that just, you can add fun. And there's no rules. Like with lifting and stuff that's a little bit more rigid. Animal flow, like you have to be ready to fail over and over and over again and just laugh it off and give it another go.
Yeah.
So what's the next challenge you think? Do you think you want to kind of like make something up, do something for a cause? Do you want something to be competitive? Like, you know, like if you did like a triathlon or something like that, it might be too much of a challenge to where you get too lost in it, you know,
Mhm.
or if you know, we're trying to compete in something. So what do you think would be kind of next?
So I think the next biggest challenge is we want to have a family and we want to have babies, right? But my mind is always going to be thinking of what the next thing is going to be. So I think I need to put a pause on that state of mind,
Mm.
have a baby, and then have a crazy comeback, you know? So I really am looking at like something that's pretty much impossible. Like the Great Western Divide is thousands and thousands of miles.
Where does that go from?
I think it goes from Australia all the way down through the world, literally. And it goes through some of the driest parts, which is super dangerous because you're just so exposed. But with the right planning, the right crew, I think it could be a crazy journey. And all of those things that I do are always for a cause. We have a nonprofit foundation
cool.
that we opened up for my friend that passed away called the Serene Soldier. So it's been messy since she passed, as these things go on, you know. But we need to do something real soon.
Yeah. How the fuck do people still die from cancer? It's just so brutal.
This story too is like, it's earth shattering. If
Yeah.
you want to end on it, I'm not sure, but it's sad. She was 6 months pregnant whenever she was diagnosed. Like,
yeah, we just lose way too many people to this.
it's wild. It really is. She was high risk as well, so she was apparently under the microscope, you know, of what's going on. But so many signs, I think, that now that she's gone, that we should just all be aware of. She had colon cancer that ended up metastasizing and going all over her body. But her side effects were just symptoms of pregnancy. She had like lack of appetite. She had a sore back. She thought she had a pinched nerve. Like, if you strip it all down, you get second opinions, you know, get yourself checked out. Females, and she was 32. So, yeah, get yourself checked out.
Yeah, because if you can catch it early, right? You're supposed to be able to get treatment for it and hopefully be better off for it, right?
Yeah.
You said she was 6 months pregnant, though. Did
the baby survived? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Crazy situation. Born at 27 weeks, but he survived.
Yeah.
She also had another son as well that obviously was alive at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, cancer is a fucking horrible thing. And it takes the people that you don't think it would take, you know? And it also takes the people that shouldn't go.
Yeah.
Not that anyone should go from cancer, but you know, some of the best humans are often taken from that. So it's a sad thing.
What's going on in Colorado?
Colorado, we are going to film some more content with iFit, but we also have some friends out there. We want to go on an adventure and do some kind of outdoor thing. So we're just going to be there filming for 21 days, I believe. And then we're trying to extend the trip for a week so we can just play.
There's a lot of cool people in Colorado. Is Matt Vincent in Colorado or no?
They're in St. Louis.
St. Louis,
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm yet to meet Matt and Bon because they're good friends with Dana and Rob, and he's also with On It. So I'm like, man, we got to meet these humans. They seem like really cool people.
There's a really cool guy guys might get out there. Alberto Nunez is in Colorado. Do you know him?
Cool. I don't.
He's a natural bodybuilder who's been doing it for a long time, pro. But he's super into hiking. He knows a fuck ton about that stuff. He'd be a great guy to collab with.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Yeah. So he's down there too.
Sweet. Well, you guys are pretty awesome humans, huh? I'm pretty strong. When you were both walking away today without shirts, I'm like, fucking A, these guys are jacked. So big.
We've been prepping for this day.
Yeah.
Getting ready, eating lots of protein, training hard.
Did you say training hard?
I did.
Okay.
You gotta have that.
God damn it.
Did you get it in?
You didn't make it.
I didn't
Dang
make
it.
it. And I was closer too.
That's the free
So I
throw.
didn't play basketball, guys. Let's just ignore it.
All right, Andrew, you want to take us on out of here, buddy?
I will. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's episode. Shout out to everybody on the chat room, even though you guys are beefing back and forth. It's pretty fun to watch.
What are they fighting about?
Compound movements versus ISO.
Oh my God.
I know. It's all good.
Well, at least it's conversation.
No, yeah.
What do you think's best?
Here we go.
Oh, man. I like compound movements because they're fun. They keep my mind stimulated. I think that there's a place for both. I don't think one is right or wrong. I think that there's a space for both. And fuck, man, if you're moving, who gives a shit?
Perfect.
Yeah, you've done a lot of isolation stuff with DLB, right?
Yep.
And then you've obviously with CrossFit, you've done a lot of like barbell movements, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. Yeah, do both.
Do both.
Do
I don't
both.
know. Like, I don't even know why this is still a debate. Like, you can have both in a workout routine and be perfectly okay.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
why wouldn't you just do both? It feels great.
Yeah.
because you have to be controversial. That's why.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
you gotta-
okay.
you gotta
I
be-
understand.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. Thank you again, everyone, for checking out today's episode. Thank you to LMNT for sponsoring today's episode. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes. Please follow the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram. Did you make that one? No.
I don't know where it went.
At MB Power Project on TikTok and Twitter. My Instagram and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z. And Nsima, where are you at?
At Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube. At Nsima Yin Yang on TikTok and Twitter. Hanna?
I'm Hanna Eden _fitness and HannaEdenFitness.com.
Before we drop off here, what was it like kind of finishing that Icelandic trek that you went on?
Crazy. Very emotional. And I was definitely in a spot of like depression after it was done because it was such a big feat and it had taken so much pre-planning. It had taken so much time and commitment. And then when
You
it
had
was
a
all done,
vehicle behind you the whole time.
the whole
right?
time, those poor guys.
And was
moving
it your husband who was helping you get back on your bike?
Yeah.
That was actually a really cool shot. Like when we saw it, I actually got goosebumps when Andrew pulled it up, and I didn't mention it at the time just because we were talking about other shit. But that was like really legit. I'm like, that is a really good image of you two. I think that's spectacular.
Oh
Very
man,
cool.
thank you. Yeah, these guys were my backbone on that for sure. But the trip totally took a different turn whenever our friend passed. Because at the beginning it was like, let's have all these production teams there. Let's make it this thing. I said to Paolo, "You're not coming. I love you, but I can't have you around when I'm in that state of mind. Like, I can't be vulnerable. I got to be a hard ass bitch." So at first I was like, I can't have you around. And then whenever Jess passed, everything changed. It was like, I want my husband there. I want her husband there. I want Courtney, who was her niece. And I want Mike. So much loss happened throughout that stage of our life, which is bizarre to think of. So we all needed a space to be vulnerable and put that pain into the road. So the feeling afterwards was pretty crazy. It was very weird. It was like, you've just accomplished something that is insane. But I felt like not much, which is also the same idea of like the whole anticipation towards the goal is what gets me going, not the actual goal itself, you know? So I think that applies to just trying new things and becoming good at them too. I don't like to stay in a comfortable space. So it was a very weird feeling.
Yeah, we had Andrew Huberman on recently, and he kind of explained that dopamine will get released even when you are just in the middle of attempting the thing that you claimed or said that you wanted to do, and not necessarily just because you did it.
Right.
Which is kind of that's pretty damn amazing. Even just something as small as just saying, "Hey, I'm going to get up off the couch and go walk to my mailbox." Could be something tiny, but that could release dopamine, make you potentially feel a little bit better. Maybe because you feel a little bit better, maybe you're in a little bit better mood, and maybe your kind of interpretation of the whole day is set forth differently than if you didn't do that.
We actually listened to that episode, and it rocked me because he's like,
Andrew
Do you
Huberman's
hit-
dopamine episode?
yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
And he goes, this reminds me of when you said, I got the cover of Oxygen magazine, which is amazing, right? And to this day, I'm like, that was the weirdest feeling for me. Because that night I went back to my room and was like, I don't feel anything. Like, I feel like I don't deserve this position because I don't feel anything. And it's like, all right, on to the next. But I never allow myself to feel nothing. It's always like, all right, this is done. What's next? All right, this is done. What's next? It's like allowing yourself to be in that depleted, like maybe a little bit of a downer state is probably a good place to be, to accept and process and acknowledge what you've just done before you move on to the dopamine release of the next challenge, you know? So I'm going to take that with me. And maybe after this trip, I need to just slow down a little bit, you know?
Yeah, Rich Franklin, he won the UFC. I think he was I don't forget what weight class he was. He won a UFC title, and he said it was like the worst night of his life. He won it. He was like, I fought my whole life for this. He's formerly like a teacher. He's just like a normal dude. So he was very grounded, like grassroots person. And I think that he almost couldn't be all that accepting of that individual achievement. You know, he loved the journey, loved the whole trip, he loved the whole thing, but he's like, what did I do? Like, now I got this fucking belt, and now people are going to be coming at me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is no longer like fun. This is I better be training my ass off. People are going to be gunning for me now.
That's so true, man. You put yourself into a different category now, right? You got to maintain it, live up to it.
Thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This has been awesome. Appreciate you guys so much.
I'm at Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you guys later.